the hell's happening? What's going on? Oh. Alright. I think we're okay. That was weird. I don't know what happened. My thing glitched real quick. I'm just checking, be sure everything works. My buttons are okay. I don't know what happened. There was a bit of a glitch. Everything froze for like a few seconds. I was nervous for a second. Like, oh god, don't tell me this thing's crashing just as it starts. But we're fine. All my hotkeys work fine. Everything's all fine and good. All right. I'm just messing around. All right. All right. Good morning, everyone, or happy noon, everyone, however it is. Happy October. It's officially the month of horror. It's about time. I'm still wearing my summer orange clothes, of course. But then again, orange is for October as well. Halloween. So October still orange still very much fits the meme and the month and stuff. So we are good. What's up, Rad Jack? Home Cruise, Mr. Metal. I love the name Mr. Metal. For those who don't know, I love heavy metal music. The Pretzel 2, Lovable Freak, Dan Gaming. I see you. How's it going? Rad Bat. It's good to see everybody. I'm giving everyone another minute or two to show up. What is PragerU Kids? PragerU? PragerU is, well, it's a university, with quotations, because it's not really a university, that actually has, I have the YouTube page right here. The official description for this page here is, PragerU Kids offers educational, fun, patriotic kids content for every grade. Enjoy shows and videos centered around patriotism, values, families, and more. So basically, it is propaganda. It's basically right-wing conservative propaganda for kids that basically goes against all those people who, like, let's say for Christopher Columbus, for example, like they want to change the name of Christopher Columbus Day to something like Native Indigenous Day. And videos like that are made specifically to tell those people to shut up and get over it. That's basically what these videos are. It's a bunch of right-wing conservative stuff. They made videos on Christopher Columbus. They have videos on COVID, Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff. Basically, a lot of right-wing talking points. And these videos are supposed to be like history lessons. But as someone who loves history myself, I hate these videos because a lot of people have reacted to them and they're flat out biased, they're lies, they're wrong, and it's all to brainwash children. And the funny thing is, this PragerU's been around for a few years now. They want so bad to be the next Brain Pop, but it's not going to happen. These fools wish they were Brain Pop. Anybody remember Brain Pop? Please tell me I'm not the only one who remembers Brain Pop, because Brain Pop was the shit when I was a kid. I loved Brain Pop. It was kind of like what this wants to be, only like good. Like it wasn't biased at all. Their name sounds like they're pedos. PragerU sounds like Prager Predator. I guess I hear it. But yeah, they sound so kid friendly. It's supposed to be kid friendly, but yeah, it kind of goes in that iffy territory. I remember watching Brain Pop. Hell yeah, Brain Pop was the shit. It was so good. Tim and Moby. Oh, I loved it. Yeah, it was Tim and Moby. Yeah, like Tim and Moby, the guy and the robot. And the little noise he made all the time. It was cheap, but like, man, it was so charming. It was so charming and loving. And it actually taught you history. And it wasn't just history. It was like various different subjects. They taught you everything. They taught you, it wasn't just history. It taught you like, science. It taught you like math. It taught you a bunch of different stuff. I don't know who Annie is. Is Annie like a new character they introduced later on? Like, I don't know an Annie. Is that like a new character they added to it? Because I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Brain Pop was more for like elementary school students, and I'm 28, turning on 29 later this year. So this was a long time ago, a good 20 years ago for me, back when I was in elementary school. So if they added an Annie character, like a new character, I would know about it, because I haven't seen Brain Pop in years. Technology, yeah, they do technology. They did everything. They just did everything. They taught you everything you need to know, which was awesome. But PragerU focuses specifically on history. They have other videos. I think they have other videos and stuff as well. Brain Pop Jr.? What? Brain Pop Jr.? I've never heard of that. Like I said, it's been forever. Bluey's awesome. I love Bluey. Bluey's such a cool show. Like, it's so charming. Like, it's really charming and fun. But we're getting off topic. My point is, that PragerU focuses specifically on history, and on top of that, tries really hard to like. Again, it's a bunch of right wing talking points. Like there's like I've seen clips on the internet that try to justify slavery and things like that. Really disgusting things. Like they try to whitewash history in a lot of places. Like they say like, oh, Martin Luther King would never have stood for Black Lives Matter and stuff. He never would have stood up with stuff this day. Or like stuff involving like Robert E. Lee saying, oh, Robert E. Lee was a good, respectful man. Definitely not racist in any way, even though he was absolutely racist. He was a hardcore slave driver and stuff. But can we have Tim and Moby? We have Tim and Moby at home. This is Tim and Moby at home. All right. I've never heard of PragerU before. Yeah, that's not probably a good thing. Like I said, they've been around for a long time. PragerU's been around for a few years. But it was only like in the last few months that it's received a lot of widespread attention because the state of Florida has officially given the green light for teachers in the schools to show this to students. Like this has officially been greenlit by Florida as appropriate and accurate history to teach kids. Meanwhile, they banned AP classes. They forbidden Black history. They've done a bunch of crap like that, which is pretty fucking funny to me. It's like it's amazing, isn't it? They just ban certain history topics and then do all this other stuff. Like it's, I guess someone who loves like. Here's the thing: you can have whatever political belief you want. You can do whatever when it comes to that stuff. I don't care, but like, history should not be a biased thing. History happened, and it's important that we learn about it, regardless of how good or bad it is. Okay, we can't just lie to the students that these things didn't happen, or try to skew them in a way to where, like, it's not as bad as it seemed to be. Because, like it or not, bad things happened in the past. All right, there's no going about it. We can't go back in time and stop Columbus from coming to the country and enslaving all those natives. We can't go back in time and get rid of slavery for the Civil War. We can't go back and stop the Titanic sinking or 9/11. We can't stop those things. They happened. And it sucks, but that's just how history is. So, going back in time... Sorry, The Magic Voyage is better Columbus cartoon. It is. It's actually entertaining. It's far more entertaining, at least. And I remember Audrey said it in our Let's Watch, that at least that movie didn't portray Columbus as some awesome hero, but just as a dumbass that barely survived only by sheer dumb luck. So there's that. But yeah. But like I said, history should not be portrayed in this bias skew. It should be taught as it is. You know, sure, you can interpret it however you like. Obviously that's very specific on how you can interpret one thing and process another. Excuse me, sorry, because like say 9/11 for example, like a lot of people know it was Al Qaeda, it was Osama bin Laden, but you have people that interpret it as, oh, it was an inside job. Bush did that. Bush planned the whole thing from the start. And I'm not here to get into that. I'm not here to talk about conspiracy theories. I'm just saying that's just an example of what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're going to sit here and we're going to watch some of these videos because I've actually never fully sat down and watched these videos till now. I've seen clips on the internet, and from what I've seen, I am not a fan. I immediately can already guess. Like the justifying slavery one. No, thank you. That sounds really bad. So we're going to sit here, we're going to react to some of these and try to see just what the fuck is going on in Florida and with PragerU. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to find one real quick. The playlist we want to look for... Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's this one here. The Leo and Layla's History Adventures. These are the ones that we need to watch. We probably need to watch some of the... other ones they have, too. For some reason, this shit wants to take forever to load. All right, so yeah, there's a lot of these videos. They have a bunch of them involving Thomas Edison. Like, they have so many of these videos. At least 52 videos. Oh, the Ronald Reagan one. That would be great. Let's start off with the Ulysses S. Grant one. That actually sounds interesting to me. So, for those who don't know who Ulysses Grant is, he was our 18th president, and he was also the leader. He was basically the head general of the Union forces during the Civil War. A lot of people know who he is, but he also had while his generalship in the Union during the Civil War is outstanding. Like, I mean, he was easily... Sorry, Sorry, I'm trying to talk here. Ulysses S. Grant was easily the best general of the Civil War. He's the guy who saved the Union. Did a fantastic job. While so many generals were failing, he actually did a damn good job. There's lots of debate on whether he was a butcher. He lost a lot of men, especially in the second half of the war. But regardless of how that is, the war was won. Then, of course, there's his presidency. He was the 18th president following Andrew Johnson. His presidency was kind of a mixed bag, if I'm going to be honest with you, because he did a lot of good things. He fought for civil rights for African Americans. He protected their right to vote. He began the Reconstruction era in the South, at least properly, where Andrew Johnson was trying to be very dickish about it. He did not support the idea of Reconstruction at all. Yeah, he's one of the worst presidents we ever had. But Ulysses Grant came in and took it more seriously. On the other hand, though, he was definitely very racist to Native Americans. He believed they should be assimilated. He was also kind of corrupt. He also had a lot of corruption in his term as president. There was a lot of scandals, especially with his administration. The second term, it was really bad. I don't know. His presidency was great. His generalship was great. His presidency was a little half-baked, if you ask me. But I don't know. They're probably going to talk about how amazing Ulysses S. Grant was and all that stuff, and how he was better than the Confederacy here. I don't know what's going to happen. Well, let's sit here and watch. This is their video on... Look how fucking... Can we just talk about how fucking scary they look? Look at their fucking dead eyes. They're like... We will steal your soul, and then sell it on the black market. It's so fucking ugly. It's so terrifying. Try to find the Columbus one and compare it to. We'll watch the Columbus one. That's one I'm definitely going to react to, for sure. We'll react to the Columbus one later, but for now we're going to watch this one first. He got ambushed, didn't he? I don't know what you're talking about. Alright, but anyway, let's watch it.
I see so many moves you could make.
The animation is so weird.
How about...
It's a little loud.
Ha! Checkmate! I won!
Was that even the king?
Ha!
Was that even the king? Wait. It's not a king me. He can easily move the knight forward. Okay. You can move the knight to the right, but alright.
Checkmate!
Or the king, whatever.
I won! I'm a chess master and you're a chess disaster.
Okay, Leo, knock it off.
What do you mean? Aren't you enjoying my moves?
Not so much.
Do you want to play again?
That's a common
really.
animation quality.
Why
It's so
not?
stiff.
Well...
I love the fact that there's this banner here at the bottom. You have this fucking banner here at the very bottom of the video for some reason. For more free kids shows, visit PragerU.com/kids. PragerU is experiencing severe censorship. That's amazing. There's literally a tagline at the bottom that says, PragerU is experiencing severe censorship. I wonder why you're experiencing censorship. Probably because you're fucking straight out lying to kids.
Oh, I was just having fun. You're the only one who'll play me. Everyone at school says no thanks.
Well, do you do those dances and call people disasters at school?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yep, then that's probably it. Nobody likes to play a poor winner, Leo.
What do you mean? I've heard of a poor loser, but
They
what's
would
so
never
bad
survive
about
Call of Duty.
winning?
They would never
It's
survive
not that
Call of Duty
winning is
lobbies.
bad, it's fantastic. Just not the way you do it. You need to learn how to be a gracious winner.
Oh boy, here we
Here,
go.
maybe there's someone in history that can show you what I mean.
Oh god. What the fuck's happening?
Oh my. Just when I thought there was nothing exciting left to add to my memoirs.
Sorry to startle you, sir. I'm Layla.
And I'm Leo. My sister decided to bring us here today so we can learn about being a gracious winner.
That's right, and you must have done some amazing things to be writing a book that thick.
Winning the Civil War and serving as the 18th President of the United States certainly were amazing things.
Oh, you must be Ulysses S. Grant.
Indeed I am.
Okay, whoa, not all of us are history experts. You'll have to fill me in.
Very well.
They did. I'll give him credit, they at least made him look sickly at this point, because this was the time he was suffering from... Well, actually, no, because he was dying of mouth cancer. He couldn't fucking talk at this point in 1884. He was dying. Stop, you two. You're going to ruin the canon event. Right? Hang on. What am I doing here? Hold on. Here, I'm opening another tab up, and we can, like, research in real time the real stuff about these characters, so we can actually, like, course correct this stuff properly. I believe he died in 85. I could be wrong. Ulysses S. Grant did develop mouth cancer because he had a bad smoking habit. He died, I believe it was 1985, or 1885. There it is. Oh, I had him right there. There he is. Ulysses S. Grant. Yep, it was July of 1885. He died of cancer. So around this time, he had he had cancer. We'll look at his post-presidency, memoirs, illness, and death right here. So, yeah, he was writing a memoir. He finished his memoir just 5 days before he died, which is very fascinating. The memoir would go on to be very successful, earning about $14 million in today's money, which is insanely good. But yeah, he died, or it was throat cancer, not mouth cancer. It was throat cancer. But yeah, he suffered it because he had a bad smoking habit. But yeah, so this is in 1884. So by this time, he lost his voice. Well, I guess he was being diagnosed it was in the summer 1884. He would be diagnosed in October. So yeah, I guess he would be able to talk then. I guess, all right. But yeah, he was developing throat cancer by this point in time.
Yes. We'll start there. Before I was president, I was a soldier and led my men into many battles.
So you were an officer?
Yes, I was. In my younger years, as a lieutenant during the Mexican-American War, I spent much time studying the behaviors of the officers around me and how their men responded to those behaviors.
Yeah, just gonna get this out of the way now. Ulysses S. Grant hated the Mexican-American War. He despised it, calling it such an atrocity for a much more powerful nation to take advantage of a weaker nation. Like, he really was not looking forward to that. And to prove it, like, bring up here, we bring up maybe around this area. Yeah, Mexican-American War, right here. Yeah, right here. Where was the McFeely, 1981, Grant A. Biology. Well, this did not help me at all, did it? Let's see, where was I? It's right here. Right here. It says right here, I was bitterly opposed to the measure, and to this day regard the war which resulted as one of the most unjust ever waged by a stronger against a weaker nation. He opinioned that the Civil War was divine punishment on the Civil War for its aggression against Mexico. So basically, the Mexican-American War was basically us going to war over Texas. Texas broke away from Mexico because of slavery. Mexico abolished slavery. Texas wanted to keep its slaves, so they broke away, became the independent nation of Texas for about 10 years. And then around the 1940s, Texas, it was 1845, I believe, Texas was accepted into the Union because it was asking for it. But Mexico said, no, that's our territory. You can't take that. And the Union said, fuck you, we're taking it. So they annexed Texas, and this led to the Mexican-American War, which was a very imperialist war, if you ask me. Ulysses S. Grant was absolutely right. This was clearly imperialist tendencies wanting to expand westward to take that territory. And after the war, which ended in 1848, we took a lot of that land, pretty much the entire West from that point on, past Texas and stuff. That became ours, and we took that from Mexico, which explained why Mexico hated us for so long after that. But I'm just bringing this up because if he's going to bring up the Mexican-American War, I got a feeling this is not going to bring up the fact that he hated that war.
Why did you do that?
I did that so I could see what made a good leader and what made a bad leader.
Sure.
Those who treated others well and fairly were admired by their men, but others were pompous and show-offs, which made me not want to learn from them.
Well, at least they were good at their job, right?
Yes, they were successful at the game of war, but they had forgotten they weren't the only players playing the game.
Why does that matter?
When a person behaves boastfully, they make the people around them feel small and resentful. Even people on their own side, and no one likes to feel that way.
That makes sense. Leo, do you remember last summer when Karen and Kenny were on our tug-of-war team at the block party?
Oh yeah, even though our team won, they hogged all the glory and it didn't feel like a victory at all.
Mr. Grant, I'm guessing you learned how to be a better
Why weren't the other kids celebrating? They were like, oh, we lost. This sucks. What the fuck? Yeah, this is how real kids act.
And it
But all
didn't
right.
feel like a victory at all.
Mr. Grant, I'm guessing you learned how to be a better officer after watching all the others.
Yes, I did. I stuck to the officers who led by being humble, gracious, and even-tempered. I saw how they gained the respect of their men. I saw that the men wanted to be around them and wanted to listen to them. So from that point on, I wanted to make an extra effort to do what they did.
Didn't the other officers ever teach you anything?
Sure, they taught me what I didn't want to be like. I saw how the unhappiness of their soldiers resulted in difficulties. I even saw their own soldiers actively root against them.
Gosh, the attendance at the chess club has been low lately. It's hard to build a team if no one wants to be there, and I really don't want anyone rooting against me.
Oh, Leo, you really are a great chess player. If you just change the way you act, then more people will want to come learn from you.
Yeah, but
Get
I'm
it,
so
kids?
excited about
We've only said
winning.
this like 10 times already.
Didn't you ever get super
Good
excited
Lord.
about your wins, Mr. Grant?
Of course. Although I left the army a few years after the Mexican-American War, I returned when the Civil War began. It was very important to me that slavery should fall and the Republic continue. So when...
Fun fact, Ulysses Grant actually owned a slave in real life. He owned, when he married his wife, he did live on like his, when he married his wife, his father-in-law, was a slave owner himself. And Ulysses S. Grant himself actually owned one slave. I can't remember what the guy's name was. Let me see if I can find it. Marriage and Family, right here. Let's see. They were married at Julia's home. Grant's abolitionist father disapproved of the dents owning slaves, and neither Grants attended the wedding. So, yeah, Ulysses Grant married a woman named Julia Boggs Grant. But Grant's parents were abolitionists and disapproved of their new daughter-in-law being a slave owner, so they didn't go to the wedding. I'm trying to find where he owned the slave. There it is. No, it's not. That's not it. I'm trying to find where it is. I know he owned a slave. I'm trying to find that guy's name. Ulysses Grant slavery. Here it is, right here. That same year, Grant acquired a slave by the name of William Jones, a 35-year-old man. Although Grant was not an abolitionist at the time, he did dislike slavery and could not bring himself to force an enslaved man to work. In March of 1859, Grant freed William by a manumission deed, potentially worth at least $1,000 or $33,000 in 2022, when Grant needed the money. So, yeah, he did, in fact, own a slave. He did own one slave in his life, but he was considered not really a good slave owner, if that makes any sense. He treated, from what we know, he did treat William with as much respect as you could a slave at the time. And he would later free him for $1,000. So, just thought I'd bring that up. But it is true, yes, Ulysses was not the biggest fan of slavery. I just thought I'd bring that up.
When my Union Army won many important battles during the Civil War, I was very satisfied.
I'm guessing you didn't celebrate by dancing around, though.
The thrill of victory is a strong feeling, but I learned my lesson about this early in the war. I remember it as if it were yesterday. In the cool fall of 1861, I led my men to attack a rebel camp in Belmont, Missouri. We battled until the Confederates retreated, leaving us to move in and capture the camp.
Nice. So what did you all do?
Well, excited by our victory, my men began loudly celebrating and looting the camp, and things got a bit out of hand.
Sweet. Finders keepers.
They do say to the victor go the spoils, but it was a terrible distraction that cost us dearly. Angered by what had happened at the camp, the Confederate reinforcements attacked us with cannons as we headed north. At one point, they had us surrounded.
Oh no! How did you get away?
We managed
I'm sorry, but the acting is so bad in this. I'm sorry. Like, oh no, what did you do next? Oh god.
to fight back until we made it to our boats. We lost a lot of men.
Whoa, that was a close one. I guess too much celebrating can get you into trouble sometimes.
Yeah, like in your case, having to play a one-man game.
Ha!
I love how they're comparing a fucking chess game to a Civil War battle where tens of thousands of soldiers died. It's like, see, kid, it's like, what's his name? See, Leo, your chess game is on par with Ulysses Grant losing tens of thousands of men in the Civil War. Maybe next time be a bit more humble, okay, kiddo? It's kind of fucked when you think of it like that.
Sometimes it is fun to play the best.
Oh, Leo, you're too much. Look how gracious Mr. Grant is, and he won the Civil War.
Okay, yeah, that is a big win.
Yes, it was. My brave men of the Union Army fought hard and won the battles of Fort Henry, Fort Donelson, and Shiloh. Finally, our victory at the Siege of Vicksburg and my friend General Sherman's march to the sea brought us to the end of the brutal Civil War.
Is there a video on Sherman? I hope to God there's a video on Sherman. We got it, because good Lord, there's got to be so many things to say about that. For those who don't know, the invasion of Georgia from General Sherman it's a really good hot point for some of the lost truth people or lost cause people who love to say, well, he was a war criminal. He did all these terrible things in Atlanta and stuff, and Georgia, and all the way to Savannah. His race to the sea and shit. Like it's a hot talking point for people with lost cause theory and stuff.
Did you hear that, Leo?
Hear what?
Mr. Grant easily gave credit to his men for winning the war.
Well, they were some of the best fighters I had ever seen. Although the president and the public greatly praised me, I proudly gave the credit to my men. It's always important to give the credit where credit is due.
So, is that part of being a gracious winner?
Most definitely. Many of life's successes aren't accomplished alone. For example, who taught you how to play chess?
My dad. He was a great teacher. He was always patient and didn't let me win. He wanted to challenge me, but he never made me feel bad about losing.
Probably because you're
like he was
5.
A very gracious winner.
Mr. Grant, was there ever a time that you
He was
had
also
to
your
meet a
dad. He
losing
was just
opponent
playing.
face to
I don't know.
face?
Yes. At the end of the Civil War on April 9th, 1865, I met with Confederate General Robert E. Lee to write down the terms of his surrender.
Was it awkward?
Yeah, like what kind of conditions did you demand?
It was a little awkward. I was a bit of a mess, but I did try to be accommodating, not demanding. Lee was a good military man. We had fought together in the Mexican-American War, but this time he was on the wrong side of things.
So what happened? Did they all become your prisoners of war?
No, not at all. I had to keep in mind that we were one nation again. Lee's men were now my men. At the time, they desperately needed to be fed, so I fed them. The men also needed their sidearms and their horses for farming, so I let them keep them.
Wow, that was incredibly gracious of you.
That is actually true. That is actually what happened. Even though Robert E. Lee was a bad person, slave owner, hardcore racist, all that things, Grant did give him the respect of a general. They did fight together in the Mexican-American War. And Grant did give the soldiers of the Confederacy that kind of respect. He did let them keep their weapons. He let them go home following the battle. He didn't take them prisoner. He let Robert E. Lee did get to leave the Appomattox courthouse following the surrender, because the way they saw it, the war was over. And Grant did want to showcase that they were one nation again and they were brothers again. And which, it's a fair point. Yeah, by that point, they were one nation again. And Grant did want to take Lincoln's advice, which was to treat them as you would want to treat your own men. So they weren't enemies anymore. This wasn't like fighting another nation anymore, because that's not how they saw it. They didn't see this as the North. Thanks, dude. I don't know if y'all heard that. A motorcycle guy just drove by. I guess some guy on the motorcycle moved in recently, because it keeps appearing in my videos, man. But anyway, as I was saying, shit, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? I genuinely lost my train of thought because of that guy. Fuck, what was I talking about? So he never wanted a statue. Ulysses Grant? I'm not sure if I don't think he wanted a statue. I don't know. The only thing I'm paying attention to is the arm motion. Yeah, because the animation's not good. The animation isn't that good. I mean, Brain Pop wasn't that good either, admittedly, but it was very cheap. You could obviously tell. But like they kept it to the point. I genuinely cannot remember what I was talking about. I lost my train of thought there. Fucking asshole. Oh man. But all right, I'm just gonna push play again. Fuck it.
Ew.
I suppose so. I knew how I would want to be treated in defeat. I wouldn't want to be gloated over or humiliated. I knew I had to lead by example if I wanted my men to behave the same way. The Southerners were still our countrymen.
I remember now what I was talking about. So the North didn't see it as going to war with another country. This wasn't like the Mexican-American War again. They saw the South as a region in rebellion. They saw the Confederacy not as a nation, but as their country just in rebellion. So that's how they treated it, and they treated it as such. Now, I'm not going to say every Union soldier acted dignified. There was definitely crimes committed against the Southern people by the Union troops. That did happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That happens always in war, all the time, regardless of who fights who. There's always some atrocity committed by everyone, of every party. It happens all the time. That's just how it goes.
And it was important to be respectful in our victory.
You basically saved the American Union. No wonder they elected you president.
That's very kind of you, Layla. It certainly wasn't because of any political experience. I had none. The Republicans felt that I had other important qualities, though, like fairness, trustworthiness, and humility. So they selected me as their candidate in 1868, and...
Another big win!
Yes. I won that election and was even re-elected in 1872. Of course I was honored. But being president of the United States wasn't about bringing glory to myself or shaming the losing party. I used my time in office to secure the passage of the 15th Amendment, guaranteeing all American citizens the right to vote, regardless of race. I also created the Department of Justice, broke up the Ku Klux Klan, and advocated for the rights of Native Americans.
No, you fucking didn't. I was like, okay, yeah, that happened. That happened. Wrong! No, abso-fucking-lutely not. That did not happen. Native Americans, where is it? We gotta find the passage on Native Americans. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Oh, shit. Fuck you. No fucking way, dude. Oh, where was it? I remember seeing something about it. Abso-fucking-lutely not. You did not. By all means. Right here. Here it is. Right here. First fucking paragraph. Right here. The bond should be of Native Americans. Call for proper treatment of Native Americans and encourage civilization and ultimate citizenship. This was basically the... What was that page again? 289. Right here. The Reconstruction of a Nation. That's just a book, I think. But no, he often described that Native Americans should be indoctrinated. He believed that the proper treatment, because it was always the quotes there, you can see the quotes right there, proper treatment of Native Americans, and encourage their civilization and ultimate citizenship. So yeah, he wanted to give them censorship, but at the same time, he wanted to indoctrinate them in the ways of Christianity, basically wipe their culture clean. It was... Absolutely not. No fucking way did he actually fight for Native American rights. It was just more indoctrination, more of that shit that happened over the years. Oh my god. It was really bad. Show me the proof, Historian Blade. Here, we'll look it up here real quick then. Let's see. Native American Policy, the Assist Grant Administration. The primary goal was to have Native Americans, right here, right in the pink, right here. The primary goal of Grant's Indian policy was to have Native Americans assimilated into white culture, education, language, religion, and citizenship. That was designed to break Indian reliance on their own tribal, nomadic, hunting, and religious lifestyles. So again, basically, he went out of his way to basically wipe their culture clean, basically. To indoctrinate them into American society by basically forcing them to learn English, forcing them to convert to Christianity. There's a whole page here, like, of all the things he did. But yeah, I do not, at one bit, believe that is to be true. Fuck off. Telling me fucking gave rights to Native Americans. You fucking indoctrinating bitch. Fuck off.
Broke up the Ku Klux Klan.
He did that with the KKK.
And advocated for the rights of Native Americans.
No, you didn't. No, not even fucking close. Oh my god. It's such bullshit. Oh my god. Fuck off.
So you used your victory to help others.
Wow, Mr. Grant, you are such a gracious winner. I bet I wouldn't even mind losing a game of chess to you. Do you play?
As a matter of fact, I do. Always loved the game. Shall we have a match, young Leo?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
I assume the video is over.
What a wonderful match, Leo. You're an excellent player.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. You're an excellent player, too. I appreciate the challenge and your company.
Leo,
Is
that
it the end
was
of the
great.
video, I think?
What a gracious way to win.
Thanks. It actually kind of feels good, too.
Well, children, you have reminded me of so many important memories from my book. I simply must get back to writing now.
Thank you for taking the time, Mr. Grant.
Yeah, just be sure not to include us in your book. I don't think readers are ready for time travel just yet. Ugh.
Checkmate, I think.
Yep, you won. You want to dance, don't you?
No, I have to be a gracious winner, but kind of, yeah. You know, it's kind of a victory for you, too, since you've become such a good teacher lately.
You're right.
Right.
And in that case...
And they dance anyway, missing the whole point of the message that they were supposed to learn. But alright. Alright, so that's the Ulysses Grant one. That one was admittedly not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, saying that Ulysses Grant fought for Native American rights, that was hilarious. But other than that, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was more of just definitely skimming over his presidency and his generalship, leaving some things out. Obviously, because if you have Ulysses Grant criticize the Mexican-American War and stuff, that is a bad thing. That makes him look bad. But that's how it is. Anyway, we're gonna watch. Let's watch that Christopher Columbus one now. Where is the Columbus one? Well, wait. Did I pass it up? Let me try again. Madison and Montesquieu, Lewis and Clark. Trying to find it. Meet Moses. Are you sure that's American history? Booker T. Washington. There's Lincoln. Oh, we gotta watch the Martin Luther King Jr. one. We've got to. The Washington one. Where's the Galileo, Benjamin Franklin, Queen Victoria, Frederick Douglass. Oh gosh. Where's the Columbus one? Okay, Columbus? Okay, is that... Yeah, here it is. This is the one everyone reacted to. Like, look at all the fucking reaction videos. Everyone's like, Roger Q makes me sick, YMS. Oh, there's me! History reacts to DeSantis. There's like so many videos. PragerU is insanely racist. There's like so many videos just saying this shit sucks. Oh, I just noticed. Hang on, one more thing. Sorry. The reaction videos have more views than the actual video itself. How about that? Look, 300,000 views, 246,000, 87,000. Wow. That's interesting. All right, well, let's switch to Columbus real quick here. All right. Columbus. There you are. All right, so we're doing the Columbus one now. This is the one I'm really interested in seeing. So I assume this banner's on is in just every PragerU video? Just telling you, go to the website. We're experiencing severe censorship because left-wing libtard cucks and everything want to censor us because they don't like what we got to say. Oh, it's so dumb. Okay. I'm surprised they don't have a pro-KKK video out. They'll probably say something about it. Just give it a minute. We'll probably find it soon.
Oh, hey.
What's up with the face? You look stressed.
I'm just doing some research. Was today weird for you?
Yeah, how'd you guess?
Columbus Day.
Or Native American Day, or Indigenous Peoples Day? It's weird, right?
Yeah, some of the teachers at my school really don't like Christopher Columbus and don't think he should have a holiday, but some do.
It's the same with my teachers, and even some kids got into arguments about it today. You finding any good info?
Kinda, but it's real mixed. The side against Columbus says he was a really mean guy who spread slavery, disease, and violence to people who would have been better off if he'd never gone to the New World.
Yep.
Ouch.
I know, but the side for him says he was a really courageous guy who loved exploring, inspired generations, and spread Christianity and Western civilization to people who really benefited from new ways of thinking and doing things.
I should have known they'd bring Christianity into this. I should have known, because Christianity is a very hot right-wing thing to talk about. But the former things he said about the slavery, disease, and stuff, that was true. And 100% happened. As for being an explorer, he wanted money. He wanted to find a new spice trade to India because the Ottomans closed off a trail that led to India and stuff that the Europeans were often using. So they had to find a way around. So there was a route that went all the way around Africa that went to India for the spice trade and stuff. And Columbus thought he could go around to find another trail. I remember the Magic Voyage briefly brought this up in like one line involving spices, gold, jewelry, and then the queen proceeded to like sexually assault him. I still can't believe the movie was real. But yeah, he basically, long story short, he did read up on people like Galileo and stuff, but at the end of the day, it really was the spice trade and finances that motivated him. That was really his main motivation.
That sounds really good.
I know.
What do you think? Which side is right?
I don't know. It seems really complicated, but both sides are just giving their opinions. It would be cool to hear from, the source. Huh?
You want us to go talk to Christopher Columbus, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I hope he's not mean.
It was 92. It was 1492! Oh my god, y'all! Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? August 3rd, 1942, he left Spain, and on October 7th, they saw birds. October 11th, they changed course due west. They landed in they landed in the Bahamas and stuff around Guyana, that's in the Bahamas, yeah. October 12th, 1492. 1492! Oh my god, guys. Come the fuck on. Really? Oh my god. I know it's just one fucking year, but come on, guys. Come on, you're a History Channel. How do you not know the right fucking year? Oh my god, that's so dumb. Wow, okay.
Don't be alarmed, sir.
Don't worry about it. I'm wrapping up the wildest journey maybe that anyone's ever taken.
Don't worry about it. You're just wearing modern clothes and you just showed up out of nowhere and stuff, and you're a girl. The fuck's a girl doing on the boat? And you're wearing gold earrings. Where the fuck you get those? Shh, give me the gold, bitch! Oh, wow.
Nothing phases me. What, you from the future?
How'd you guess?
Either that or Indians? I've kinda had a hard time telling who's what lately.
I can't tell who's who. They really just said that? What? So I gotta hear that one more time. Hold up.
Either that or Indians? I've kinda had a hard time telling who's what lately.
No, he didn't just say that out loud. I can't tell which one they are. I can't tell the difference. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, that's so bad. Wow. Oh my gosh. Alright. Oh my god, that's so fucking bad. Wow, we're only 2 minutes in. It's already eating shit. Wow. Columbus isn't voiced by Dom DeLuise, 010. Yeah, 100%, yeah.
I'm Layla. He's my brother Leo, and we need to learn about you.
We live 500 years from now, and there's a holiday for you, but it's really controversial and we're confused.
Nice! I have a holiday? Well, caramba! I should! I've worked so hard to get to this point, and what I just accomplished was insane!
Will you tell us about your journey?
Allow me to give you a little biographical information so it all makes sense.
Okay.
I was raised in the port town of Genoa along the Mediterranean Sea. My papa was a wool weaver, and most boys just did whatever their dads did. But I was different. Every day I would look out at the sea and wonder what was out there beyond just what I could see.
I see what you did there. So you were curious?
Boo.
See? And so as a teenager and a young man, I did everything I could to cure my curious nature.
It was
I
so
volunteered
ugly.
for all kinds of crazy sea adventures, and I took my first one at 14.
Whoa.
Yeah, and soon sailed to Iceland.
I actually don't know. I actually don't know about that stuff. I really don't know much about the early Christopher Columbus stuff. Is that true? So that might be true. I don't know. See, he was born in October of... he was born on Halloween. Or, well, he was born between August and October. Nobody knows exactly when he was born. I'm trying to find out. Most of his early life is obscure. Let's see. He began his apprenticeship as a business agent. He did go to Chios in the Aegean Sea. He went to England. He went to Ireland. Let's see. His son Diego was born. Yeah, he had kids, by the way. We'll probably talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Columbus actually had 2 sons. He left Portugal for Castile, had a mistress. He had a mistress named Beatrice or something. I'm not going to go on that. See, I'm trying to learn more about what he actually did. Like I said, I actually don't know a whole lot about Columbus's earlier life. I really don't. I don't know many people who do, honestly. It's more of just... I don't think it matters all that much. All we know is... all I really know about Columbus is just the main important stuff. I know he was married. He had 2 kids, one of which was with a mistress. He was influenced by the spice trade. He wanted money. That's the main reason he went to go to try to find a route to India, and by accident discover the New World.
Ireland and Africa. I taught myself to read, learned many languages, and read everything I could about geography, astronomy, and exploration, including my favorite book, The Travels of Marco Polo.
Marco.
Polo.
Okay?
Oh, it's a game we play in swimming pools. Never mind.
Never mind.
Boo.
Marco Polo is the greatest explorer who ever lived. In fact, the trade routes he wrote of and their closing is basically...
You guys notice that his chin is like phasing into his lip there? I don't know, it's fucking weird.
why I'm here right now.
What do you mean?
Well, first, the writings of his amazing
The
journey
Silk
to the
Road.
Far East inspired me to be an explorer. But then, 40 years ago, when the Muslims conquered Constantinople
Yeah,
and
the
closed
Ottomans.
down the Silk Road, they made it impossible to get by land from Europe to Asia. And that opened up the desire and opportunity to figure out a path by the sea.
What was so important about getting from Europe to Asia?
Leo, we want to trade. They have so much cool stuff in places like India, China, and the Spice Islands.
Let me
Yeah, the
guess.
spices.
Spices.
There you are.
Smarty pants. If you try...
Let me guess.
Did you guys see the clouds? They disappeared. Hold on. Watch the clouds. Watch the clouds in the background. Watch.
Spices.
Look at the clouds. Yeah, they they just faded in. They were a few seconds late. Wow, that sucks. Jesus Christ, that's so bad.
India, China.
Let me guess.
Watch the clouds.
Spices.
Pop.
Smarty pants.
Oh my god. That's so bad.
If you tried our Middle Ages European food, you would know how much we need those spices.
So you wanted to get spices from Asia and make a lot of money?
No, I wanted to explore the world and see things that nobody where I'm from had ever seen before. But I didn't have enough money for a crazy sea adventure, so I had to get a sponsor. I needed to convince a really rich person to pay for my trips.
Ah, so you had to be persuasive and tell somebody that paying for your trip would make them even more money. You get to explore, and they get spices and stuff from Asia to sell and make a profit.
Correcto.
And you make money
So
too.
since the Muslims had cut off all the land trade routes to Asia,
Interesting they don't call them the Ottomans, because that's what they were. They were the Ottoman Empire. But alright. The Muslims sounds eviler when you say it like that, huh? I don't know.
and we Europeans still wanted
stupid.
Asian things, I came up with a crazy plan to get there by sailing west.
Why was that crazy?
Because no one knew if it could be done.
Is that because people thought the world was flat?
No, that's a myth. Since the time of the ancient Greeks, educated people have known the world is round and could possibly be sailed around.
Oh my god, they actually said the Earth isn't flat. I'm actually a little surprised they actually include that bit in, but that is actually true, yeah. We had known the Earth is round by studying things like the stars and the other planets and the sun. We knew the Earth was round for a long time, way before Columbus, so I'm actually surprised they actually kept that in, but alright.
But Earth was believed to be so big that with so much ocean between Europe and Asia, no way could a ship hold enough food and water for its crew to survive a westward journey between the continents.
You thought differently?
I did my own calculations and thought maybe could be done. I might have played with the numbers a bit, but I was desperate to give it a try.
Sounds like your sponsor needed to be desperate too.
I first asked the King of Portugal, but his advisors told him my plan would never work, so he said no. Then I tried Spain, and they said no too. But after 6 years of bugging their king and queen, Ferdinand and Isabella, I finally got them to agree to pay for my voyage west out to the great unknown.
That is kind of true. He did pester them a lot and just keep asking them over and over again, like, please send me out, please send me out, please send me out, please send me out. And they're like, God fucking fine, here's the bare minimum, 3 ships, that's all you get. And they did. He got the bare minimum, only 3 ships, that's all he got.
It took 6 years?
Why did they finally give in?
Only they can know for sure. But it's probably no coincidence that after hundreds of years of fighting to kick the Muslim invaders out of their country, in what was known as the Reconquista, the Spanish monarchs sent me on a mission to find new trade routes and maybe even find gold and riches.
So Spain was broke and needed money. They were desperate.
You said it, not me. But Ferdinand and Isabella took a wild chance on my crazy idea. And here we are. I'm now sailing back to Spain to show off all kinds of amazing things I found and tell of the wonders of the lands I've seen.
Okay, now that
Look
we
at these
have the
slaves!
story, we've got some questions.
Look at the slaves I brought, guys! And these beautiful shackles they're wearing. Okay, just kidding.
There are a lot of people in our
man.
time upset about how you acted once you found all these amazing things in
Oh,
the
here we
world.
go, here we go. We're getting to the good
That's
stuff
right.
now.
You said I'm controversial.
You have no idea.
Now we're getting to the good
I've got
shit.
nothing to hide. Ask away.
Okay, first, your sailing plan was right and all your doubters were wrong?
Well, they were wrong that my crew and I were going to die because after 10 weeks of sailing west, we spotted land.
Your trip was 10 weeks?
You can't even handle a 2-hour car ride.
Greatness requires patience.
You know the land you found wasn't India, right?
Really? Caramba! I suspected something was a little off.
Okay, so interesting fun fact about that. Columbus did never know he found a new world. He actually died believing he had in fact reached India. Or Asia, at least. He never knew. He never knew he discovered the new world. Never in his life. That is interesting.
But my calculations suggested I had reached India, or at least the Far East.
So what happened when you met the native people, who obviously discovered the land before you did? The Indians?
The first people we
They didn't discover it. That was theirs. They lived it. They were born there. Kind of fucked to say that, kid.
met were great. The Taino. They were peaceful, curious, and really helpful. I could tell right away that they were highly intelligent. They even were able to quickly mimic everything we said to them. I ordered my men to treat them well.
I'm sorry, Mr. Columbus, but I heard at school that you spoiled paradise and you brought slavery and murder to peaceful people.
Oh, here we
Leo,
go.
sorry.
Here we
That's
go.
what I read and heard at school.
Caramba! Those are some accusations. The place I discovered was beautiful, but it wasn't exactly a paradise of civilization, and the native people were far from peaceful.
But you just said the Taino were peaceful.
They pretty much are. But there are other tribes who aren't.
Oh
The
boy.
Taino I had met had cuts and scars and bruises all over them. I asked why, and they told me about the Caribs, who are vicious, warring cannibals.
Cannibals? Like they...
Eat people, see,
Whoa.
right?
Here, I'm gonna look this up. We're gonna look at this real quick. Let's look at this. Alright, like I said, I do need to do my research. I don't know every little thing. There's the Taino. These are the Taino that he's talking about here. The Taino, historic indigenous group of people in the Caribbean whose culture have been continued today. They live in what's now Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Bahamas, stuff like that. Let's see. I'm trying to discover like where. Let's see, we have origins, culture. This probably won't really talk about. This page probably won't talk about Columbus. Really, it's more of just like their culture and how they practice it and stuff. That picture might get me claimed, sadly. All right. Let's see. Noting their gold earrings, Columbus took some of the Arwak's people. Arwak is another group of people. Interesting how Columbus didn't bring up the Arwak people. Noting their gold ring ornaments, Columbus took some of the Arwak's prisoner and insisted that they guide him to their source of gold. Columbus did not believe he needed to create a fortified outpost, writing, "The people here are simple in war-like matters. I could conquer the whole of them with 50 men and govern them as I please." Boy, that sounds like a guy who paid respect to the natives and told his men, "Be kind and respectful." The Tainos told Columbus that another indigenous tribe, the Caribs, were fierce warriors and cannibals. That is okay. That part's right, true, I guess. Who made frequent raids on the Tainos, offering capturing the women. Although this may have been a belief perpetrated by the Spaniards to justify enslaving them, so they probably made that up. How about that? So the Caribs. I don't know if I'm allowed to look at these pictures. Oh god. Okay, I don't want to look at the picture. Sorry. Oh fuck. All right, there's naked pictures everywhere. Fuck. God damn it. God damn it. I'm gonna get fucking demonetized. Oh, man. Let's see. Columbus explored the northwest of Cuba, where the natives had told him was rich in gold. Columbus had this part continue to the northern coast of Hispaniola, where he landed on December 6th. Santa Maria ran aground and had to be abandoned. The wreck had used a target for cannon fire to impress the native peoples. Columbus was received by the native, I don't know the word, who gave him permission to lead some of his men behind. Columbus left 39 men behind, including the interpreter, and found the settlement of La Navidad, which is in present-day Haiti. Columbus took more natives prisoner and continued his exploration. So yeah, he took slaves from day fucking one. That's pretty bad. So yeah, he basically took slaves right away and basically demanded that they give him his gold, and even boasted about how 50 men were enough to basically take over the whole group. That says quite a lot.
Hey, all the things that are bad in the world I come from, jealousy, lying, murder, war, it all exists in the land I just found too. In Europe we draw the line at things like eating people and human sacrifice. Some of the...
Hold on. I got a little, Did Denmark... There you are. Oh, whoops, wrong one. That's not what I wanted. Nope, I did not. I don't care if they invaded England. I want to know if they ate their prime minister. Yeah, so this is a funny story. The Dutch ate their prime minister. Why did the Dutch prime minister Johan de Witt why was he murdered at Eden? Politics can be cruel times, sure, in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crash. For instance, many prime ministers and presidents were quickly removed from power in countries like North America and Europe. Well, he wasn't removed from power. Bush was just removed from because of election. But all right, some of these leaders only just entered office. Look at the example of Johan de Witt, the head of the Dutch Republic in the mid-17th century, who after a series of negative events in the early 1670s was murdered in the Hague, I don't know how to say that, on the 20th of August 1672, and then his killers at least partially ate his body and that of his brother Cornelius. I just think it's funny. It's like, we draw the line at eating people in Europe. You might want to send that letter to the Danish, because they, or the Dutch, because they clearly aren't up to memo. I just think that's really funny to me.
The native folks from where I just left do those things regularly. So, these people in your time who think it was a peaceful paradise are misinformed. Or lying.
Yeah, but
Or lying. They're lying about it. They're lying about all that shit. Of course. Yeah, there's no way you could be lying about that to justify your horrible atrocities.
You didn't deny that.
Deny? No.
Sorry, what did she
Lying.
say?
Yeah, but what about slavery? You didn't deny that.
Deny? No.
Oh, the cloud clipped in the frame again. Did y'all see it?
Lying.
Yeah, but what about slavery?
Watch the clouds.
You didn't deny that.
Deny?
Yep.
No. Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left.
Oh, here it is.
Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem.
Well,
Oh, no. No, bro, no. Ah! Golly! Whew! That is a hell of a stance to take on the issue of slavery. Oh my gosh. Wow! Being taken as a slave is better than being killed. Wow! That is a hell of a stance to take on slavery. Wow, my god. Wow! Okay. Okay, let's try to process that. Let's try to process that for a second. he said that. In fact, let's hear it one more time.
Place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? I don't see the problem.
I don't see the problem. I would rather be a slave than be killed. That's just me saying. Of course it's not. Of course I'm not being made a slave. You know? Europeans aren't being made slaves. It's the Africans. It's the Indians. They're the ones. That's their problem, not mine. Woo! Oh my god, that's so bad. That is so wrong. That is such a terrible, shitty thing to say. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Better than be killed. Oh my god. Wow. Oh my god. What an L. That take is so hot it could melt. It could melt hell. Not a bad thing to say. Yep. That's batshit crazy, even for most right wings, I think. Oh wow, that's so fucked. That is so fucked. All right, I'm trying to process like what he could possibly mean by that in a way that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to process here. Like, how the fuck can you say that out loud and think for some reason you make sense? That's what I'm trying to process. Like maybe he genuinely thinks that death is a worse fate than slavery? Like slavery is not that bad? Oh god. Ugh, fuck. I can't take this fruity ass Columbus seriously when he's preaching about how great slavery is. Oh my god. It's so bad. Oh wow. Fuck. Alright, let's keep playing.
Well, in our time, we view slavery as being evil and terrible.
Ah, magnifico. That's wonderful. I am glad humanity has reached such a time. But you said you're...
I'm so glad slavery's been outlawed in the future. I mean, we could try to outlaw it right fucking now, but like, that's just how it is. Fucking what? Fucking what? Oh, fuck off, dude. Fuck off.
Wonderful. I am glad humanity has reached such a time. But...
See, the thing he said when the Spanish captured him and wanted to be subjective, where do you go when you die? The Spanish priest said, you go to heaven with our Lord, and he said, I would rather go to hell. That's not a bad thing. That's a good point. Like, a lot of them, they don't get it. Because that's the thing about the natives. They don't know about Christianity and stuff. So to just come in and try to, like, force your religion onto these people and stuff, that's wrong. You can't fucking do that. Alright, push play again.
You said you're from 500 years in the future? How can you come here to the 15th century and judge me by your standards?
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. You can't judge something based on a modern standard and stuff. Like, you can't do that. And here's the thing. I kind of agree with that to an extent. Like, I do agree with that to an extent. Like, it is unfair to compare modern standards to standards that were 500 years ago. I agree with that to an extent. But here's the thing. Here's the difference. We don't try to defend slavery in any way. You know, we say nowadays, here's the thing. The stance should be, slavery was the norm back then. It's understandable why they thought it was normal back then. But that doesn't make it any less wrong. That's the stance people have when they talk about that. The stance is clearly, it's understandable why it was normal back then. I understand why they had no problem with it, but it's still fucking wrong. It's still wrong no matter what. The argument isn't that slavery is better than being killed. Nobody's fucking saying that. The issue is that we understand why it was normal. We understand why they didn't have a problem with it, but it's still fucking wrong. That's the thing. That's why people talk about when they say things like that, when they say Christopher Columbus was a shitty person. Because, yeah, we get it. We get why he did it. It's still shitty why he did it. It's still shitty what he did. That's the thing. That's the fucking argument that people make when they hold Columbus up to a modern standard, that it's still wrong what he did. And the only defense these people have is, well, being taken as a slave is better than dying, right? The people that died, they got sent to heaven. It's so fucked. So gross.
Century. For those in the future to look back and do this is, well, estupido.
Are you calling me dumb?
Certainly not.
What does estupia mean? I don't know. No, it doesn't mean stupid. The word stupid's in it, but it doesn't mean stupid.
I can tell you're a very smart young lady. But the idea of throwing away the past because of your present values is... Listen, I love and am thankful for the ancient Greeks, but they did lots of things that here in 1493 I do not agree with. They permitted lifestyles and worshiped gods that, as a Christian...
Lifestyles, huh? Like, boy lovers? Oh, man. What does that mean? What is that supposed to mean, huh? Columbus? Lifestyles? He's probably talking about the homosexuality. There was a lot of homosexuality in ancient Greece.
I think is very bad. But that doesn't...
My Christianity means they're wrong and they're evil and they should be taken care of and stuff. That's what I'm hearing.
Doesn't mean I shouldn't respect and honor all the incredible and amazing things they did.
So, good and bad is based on the time you live in?
Go outside. It's just an animation. It's a history lesson that's straight up lying to its audience. It's not just an animation, dude. It's worse than that. He is homophobic. Well, I think that's the point that he's going with. Yeah, as a Christian.
Very bad. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't respect and honor all the incredible and amazing things they did.
So, good and bad is based on the time you live in?
That is a great question. I told you I knew you were smart. Some things are clearly bad, no matter when they happen.
Yeah.
But for other things, before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big deal?
All right, I'm glad he asked that question. I'm so glad he asked that question, because let's talk about his third voyage to the new world. I'm trying to find where it is specifically. Was it the third one or the fourth? I believe it was the third voyage. Here, let's go into this here. I believe it's the third voyage right here. Here it is, Bobadilla's inquiry. So, it's funny he brings that up. He brought up the fact that we should not judge people based on a modern sensibility, based on modern values, which I do agree with that to an extent. But the funny thing about Columbus is that for his time, he was still awful, because here's the thing. So there's this case called Bobadilla's Inquiry here by a man named Francisco de Bobadilla. I think that's how you say it. He was a knight of the king. He was working with Columbus, and he did an inquiry based on how Columbus was governing one of his colonies during his third voyage. He had become a governor of one of his colonies. I don't know the specifics, but I just know the specific part. But yeah, he did become the governor, I believe, of this place here, Sincula de Barrameda. I could be saying that so wrong. Let's see, he left here. Let's see, it's around this area here, in this area. But anyway, he became the governor of one of his colonies. And Bobadilla went into an inquiry because things were kind of acting up. There was this rebellion with the colonists that broke out. Columbus requested 330 people stay permanently, all in King's pay, but they weren't happy about it. So they basically rebelled against that. They did a bunch of pillaging. They attacked natives and stuff, committed horrible atrocities. And again, he was the governor of this colony, so everything those men did was under his watch. So Bobadilla went on an inquiry about how Columbus was running things. And this is some of the things he had to say. It's this whole bit right here. Bobadill's inquiry produced testimony that Columbus forced priests not to baptize natives without his express permission, so he could first decide whether or not they should be sold into slavery. So basically, slaves weren't baptized. Slaves could not be baptized. They weren't allowed to be, because if they died, it doesn't matter to go to heaven or hell. They're just slaves. They're worthless. He allegedly captured a tribe of 300 to be sold into slavery and informed other Christians that half of the indigenous servants should be yielded to him. He basically gets half of the slaves for his own personal use. That's fun. Further, he allegedly ordered at least 12 Spaniards to be whipped and tied by the neck and feet for trading gold for something to eat without his permission. You're not allowed to trade without his permission. Which, like, I guess that makes sense, but, like, he's basically whipping these people and torturing them for that. That's great. Other allegations include that he ordered a woman to be whipped naked on the back of a donkey for lying that she was pregnant, had a woman's tongue cut out for seeming to insult him and his brothers, cut a Spaniard's throat for being homosexual, so yeah, he was homophobic, which makes sense, and a lot of Christians were homophobic at the time, ordered Christians to be hanged for stealing bread, ordered a cabin boy's hand cut off and posted publicly for using a trap to catch a fish? Boy went fishing and he got punished for that! What the fuck? And ordered for a man to have his nose and ears cut off, as well as to be whipped, shackled, and banished. Multiple culprits have given... Wait, what? Ordered a man to have his nose and ears cut off, as well as whipped, shackled, and banished. For what? What did he do? Just fuck that guy. Fuck that guy in general, I guess. Oh my god. Multiple culprits were given a potentially fatal 100 lashes, sometimes while naked. Some 50 men starved to death on the La Isabela because of tight control over the ship's rations, despite there being in abundance. Yikes. So, yeah. So, there was after all of that came to light, there was a trial in Spain. He was brought before the king and queen of Spain. Numbocellers lobbied against Columbus in the Spanish court, accusing him of mismanagement. Yeah, mismanagement. Those were the crimes he was accused of. By his own request, Columbus remained in chains during the entire voyage home. He wrote a letter to a friend of his. I'm not going to read that because it doesn't matter. My point is, Columbus and his brothers were jailed. His brothers were also responsible. Were jailed for 6 weeks before the busy King Ferdinand ordered them released. On December 12th, 1500, the king and queen summoned the Columbus brothers to their presence. Columbus wore shortened sleeves so his marks on his skin would be visible. Columbus was brought to tears as he admitted his faults and begged for forgiveness. So he admitted to his faults, so to speak. The door was firmly shut on Columbus's role as governor. So they had a new governor at that point. Columbus remitted his titles. Amande was all that crap, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so my point is, he did a lot of bad things, a lot of horrible atrocities, including cutting a kid's hand off just for fishing. Like, fuck that kid, I guess. He was arrested, put on trial, admitted to it all, was found guilty. Obviously, his sentence wasn't that bad. Obviously, he was removed from governorship. He was also barred from ever going back to that colony. He was never allowed to go back. But really, yeah, by the end of the day, he did a lot of terrible things, and he was found guilty of crimes. So even for the time period, he was considered an atrocity. A lot of things he did was considered too far, or mismanagement as it was labeled. So for this short to preach about not comparing the past to modern values, when at the time it was considered bad, is amazing to me. It's bullshit. Like, it's not like I don't get it. It's not like I don't agree to that to some extent, because I do. But Columbus is a very bad example of that. Because for the time, he was considered awful. He was considered horrible. He committed atrocities. Did a lot of bad things, so. Fuck out of here with that.
Not everyone can time travel as you do and see how normal becomes very not normal.
Some things are, some things aren't. Sounds complicated.
It is, and so is life. And history can be too. If people in your time want to celebrate me for being a perfect hero, then they are very mistaken. Only my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is perfect. And I hope to spread his teaching to all the lands I find that don't know his name.
Oh, I bet you do. I can't wait to spread the good name of the Lord. And that's what I call my sword, the Lord. Oh my gosh. Fuck off.
But if people in your time want to celebrate the guts I had to get this journey approved, start it, survive it, and get back to tell about it, well, that seems pretty good for any time and age.
I think you're right. Thanks for answering our questions, Mr. Columbus.
You're a courageous explorer, and you've given me a lot to think about. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, kids. Now, let me lock you up and show you. Just kidding.
Aww, that would have been fucking amazing if he like, oh, by the way, I'm bullshitting you. This whole thing is a lie. You're not my slaves. Get the fuck in the dungeon now. That would have been actually hilarious. The whole thing was a joke.
My friends.
Bye.
Oh, that would have actually been hilarious.
Columbus sure had a crazy life.
He made 3 more journeys across the ocean to the New World.
And it seems like most of the negative reports about him come from people who were his competition for things.
I don't think Christopher Columbus was a villain. And maybe he wasn't a hero.
Oh, he was a villain.
He sure did some heroic things that are definitely worth celebrating.
Nope.
And a lot of the things we judge him for now were just normal in his time. You never
Bad,
know, Leo.
nope.
Maybe some of the things we're told are fine today will be considered evil or crazy in the future.
Like what? What do we do nowadays that would be branded as evil in the future? Like, I can't imagine it. Like, we're not fucking going to other countries and forcing a religion on other people. We're not taking slaves. We're not murdering innocent people. We're not cutting a fucking kid's hand off just for fishing in a river somewhere. Oh, God. It's so dumb. This was awful. This was worse than I thought it could be. I knew about the slavery line. I knew about that coming up, but the whole defending it because, well, it was normal in the past. That was bad.
But being courageous and wanting to explore the world are things worth.
He wanted money. Fuck off. Are we done?
If you'd like to time travel with Leo and Layla.
No! Well, actually, I'm probably going to do a few more of those. All right. That's the Columbus one. Wow. That was as bad as I thought it was going to be. That was about as bad as I thought it was going to be. Good Lord. That was so shitty. Competition. What a word for people with common sense and human decency. Like, what? Who the fuck is competing against Columbus of all things? That's what I'm curious about. How many videos have we watched so far? Only 2. We've only seen 2 so far. The Ulysses S. Grant one and the Columbus one. I kind of want to do. Where was the Martin Luther King one? I want to do the Martin Luther King one now. Officer Tatum. That's got to be a Black Lives Matter video for sure. Where's the Martin? There it is. Okay, we'll do the Martin Luther King Jr. one now. I have so much admiration for Martin Luther King Jr. I have so much love and respect for him as a person. Like, I studied this guy so hard in school because I was always so fascinated by him, by his life, by his work. Like, even as a kid, back in elementary school, he was always the most fascinating person in the world to me at the time. Like, so this is going to be good. I know so much about Martin Luther King Jr. I've studied him immensely. So this is one I'm definitely curious about. He wanted money, damn it. Columbus, more like Colum ass, right? Right. All right, let's get into it. Whoa, go back. What? Why is this art actually kind of nice? Like, it actually looks better than anything before. Okay, never mind. Her hand is backwards. See her hand that's on her hip? It's backwards. Like, how does her pinky? Like, that's her. Yeah, that would be her pinky. How is her pinky going up like that? What the fuck? Ew. Her pinky looks backwards. Like, what? I take it back, because, like, I looked at their face and went, wow, they don't look fucking horrifying in this image. But then I saw the hand and went, oh god, this looks like an AI-generated image.
Hey, Layla.
Not now, Leo. I need to be alone.
So alone, I took the doorknob off.
Okay.
Look.
But I just want you to...
Yeah, there's no doorknob on the door. Oh, the animation's so bad in this. What the fuck? Just leave me alone! Like, I can't! You've been trapped in there for weeks! We gotta get you out! We gotta get you out, Layla! Oh my god.
You know that I think it's really great what you did today. Mom told me how you stood up for Haley Johnson. I can't believe anyone would...
I know. Haley's just...
Whoa, how'd you do that? Witch! Burn her! Columbus! We got a witch! We're gonna burn the bitch! Hang on one second, hang on. Hang on one second. I'll be right back. I gotta do something real quick. It won't take a second. Okay. Sorry, it's getting hot in my room here, so I wanted to turn the AC on real quick because it's getting hot in my room. Excuse me. Calling AI would be a disgrace, as AI will lead to an enslaved mankind someday. Excuse me. That's pretty funny. Oops.
Just a little different. We're all different in our own ways, and I've known Haley since 2nd grade, and so have the kids who were making fun of her. And it wasn't funny that her wheelchair got knocked over and she fell on the floor. She needed help.
What happened?
You know, it would have been really nice to see that. It's all told on show. Like, I get this is some, like, cheap little, like, animation for the internet and stuff. It's not meant to be super in-depth, but, like, showing rather than telling would be the real key here.
At lunch, Mom told me you got into a fight.
Yeah, a group of boys were reenacting what happened to Haley, and some of my friends were laughing and joining in. I yelled at the boys, then my friends, pretty loud, and an assistant principal had to break it up. That's why Mom got called.
Did you punch anyone?
No, but I wanted to. The boy who started it all really deserved it. But I don't like violence. Thanks for supporting me, Leo. None of my friends do.
This is gonna be a video talking about Black Lives Matter and, like, riots and stuff, isn't it? What are your thoughts on books being censored? It's wrong. It's straight up fucking censorship of free speech to, like, burn books and stuff.
Maybe you need to find new friends.
I might have to. No one's responding to my texts. People are making fun of me now.
I just noticed there's no fucking border down here. How old is this video? 8 months ago? Oh, wow, that's not old at all. I guess this is before the severe censorship was being imposed on them.
Calling me Ragela. I feel this really weird mix of mad, sad, and scared. Maybe I should have just stayed quiet and stayed out of it.
Oh man, it's time. Where's your phone?
Time for what?
Time to visit Martin Luther King. I've really been wanting to meet him. He's like the king. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
The king of standing up for what's right. Let's go talk to him.
Okay, if anybody can help, it'll be him.
You go see his dad instead. Literally the day before he's assassinated. Good lord. Y'all could just wait. Y'all could give it a minute. Y'all could give a little leeway. Like, give him at least a month.
We as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Whoa, that's him all right.
This was a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we could see the speech. That'd be kind of nice. We could try to see the speech. Hell, maybe use footage of that actual speech, which is on YouTube to watch, but I don't know if they get the license
Let's
for
go
that.
meet him.
Then again, they would never get the license. I doubt whoever owns the rights to that footage would ever let PragerU ever use it.
Excuse us, Dr. King. I'm Layla, and this is my brother Leo.
We're from the future, and my sister here stood up for what's right. Because her friends are being mean about it, she isn't sure if she should have.
We have a holiday for you and learn about your I Have a Dream speech every year. You're famous for standing up for what's right, and it would be cool to learn more about that from you.
Do you have a little time?
I can always make time for those who stand up to injustice and who have the courage to right wrongs.
I love how they're giving him that, like, that accent, you know? I love how they're giving him that, like, the accent he had, like, when he gives his speeches while he's normally talking. He was able to talk normal, guys. He didn't have that. He didn't talk like that all the time.
Have you always stood up for what's right?
Well, from a very early age, I was aware of right and wrong. And when I detected wrong, it gave me a horrible feeling. As a young boy, perhaps just a few years younger than you, Leo, my favorite playmate was a boy near my age who also happened to be white. Once we started school, because of my skin color, he was no longer allowed to play with me.
That's terrible.
That did happen. That did happen. Here, we'll see if I can find it. Early life here. We'll see if we can find it. I don't know if it'll share the story here. Early childhood right here. Little story. So yeah, King became friends with a white boy whose father owned a business across the street. When they were 6 years old, they started school, but King had to attend a school for black children, Young Street Elementary, where his close playmate went to a separate school for white children only. Afterwards, the parents of the white boy stopped allowing King to play with his son, stating, "We are white and you are colored." So yeah, that did happen. That is true.
It was, and unfair to me, and it made me angry. But my parents gave me a lesson that has guided me for the rest of my life. They taught me that racism, thinking people are better than or lesser than because of skin color, is wrong, and to hate the wrong but never the wrongdoer.
Wow, that's so noble.
My Christian faith directs me to love my neighbors, even when they act in ways I don't like. And that's always helped me remain peaceful.
You've experienced lots of racism, huh?
He learned that study from Gandhi. Like, Gandhi was his absolute hero growing up. He studied the non-violent protesting of Gandhi, who did this stuff in India when it was British India at the time. Like, that was always his idol. So I at least hope they at least bring Gandhi up at some point, because they do need to bring that up.
Oh yes. Unfortunately, in my time, there are plenty.
You can hear music from Thomas and Friends. What? They stole music from Thomas of all things. Did they? I don't know. I don't know anything about Thomas the Tank Engine or nothing.
Plenty of hateful and ignorant people that haven't let go of racism. So most black Americans have experienced it, but here in 1968 in the South, it has been particularly difficult for black people because of legal racial segregation.
That's when people are separated because of their race, right?
Yes, that's it. And while the defeat of the South in the Civil War led to the outlawing of slavery, racism, however, still remained. And new laws were made to keep white and black people separate.
Didn't people fight against the new laws?
Yes, but in 1896, the Supreme Court ruled that segregation was indeed permitted. They said things like schools, swimming pools, bathrooms, movie theaters, and such could be separate for white only or black only, as long as they were equal.
But if people...
Oh God, what's that case called? I forgot what it was called. Hang on, what was that case called again? I already forgot. Oh, the Dred Scott. It was the... No, that's not the Dred Scott case. It was the... not Brown. I can't remember the top of my... Plessy versus Ferguson. That's what it was. I don't know. There's a lot of famous court cases about it. Like, there's the Dred Scott case. You know, Brown versus Board of Education. It's the Plessy versus Ferguson. This is the one where it was decided 7-1 decision that segregation was indeed legal. It's often regarded as one of the worst decisions in U.S. history, Supreme Court history. Despite its infamy, the decision has never explicitly been overruled, but a series of court later decisions, beginning with the 1954 decision, which held that a separate but equal doctrine is unconstitutional, has severely weakened Plessy to a point where it's considered de facto overruled. But technically, it's still a law. Technically, in a weird way, Plessy versus Ferguson is still the law of the land, which is kind of fucked if you really think about it. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
People are kept separate, isn't it harder to learn that racism is bad? So the bad behavior just continues?
That's very insightful of you, Miss Layla, and I couldn't agree more with you. When I was a young man, I spent time working in desegregated Connecticut and went to college in desegregated Massachusetts. In each place, the races mixed freely. And without segregation, it is much easier to have friendships and relationships with people of different races.
Wait, so in the South, if there was still a lot of racism, were the things that were separate ever really equal?
Almost never, and not just unequal, but most black-only services were far worse than their white counterpart. However, one place where the races couldn't be separated was on public transportation. Cities in the South didn't have the money for 2 sets of buses, so whites and blacks had to mix, sort of.
Ugh, this isn't gonna be good.
Blacks in the back and whites in the front. And blacks were only permitted to sit if there were extra seats after white passengers were all seated.
But what about Rosa Parks? She didn't give up her seat.
That's right, Mr. Leo. I'm pleased that future children remember that. Rosa was a good friend of mine in Montgomery, Alabama, where I had my first job as a pastor. And after...
Do you notice that her eyes are like crooked? Like her eyes are crooked, like one's going up and the other one's looking away. The eyes are like, was
a good friend of mine in Montgomery, Alabama, where I had my first job as a pastor. And after she was arrested for refusing to give up her seat, I organized the black community and led a boycott, where we all agreed not to take the bus until the laws were changed and we received justice.
You stood up
That
for
did
what's
happen.
right.
And
That was the Montgomery boycott. Yes, that lasted about a year. I just joined. What the fuck's going on? We're watching Bad History. That's what we're watching. Although I will admit, this video hasn't been that bad so far. Like, it's pretty accurate.
it was very difficult. During our organized protest, I even
I know it'll get bad later. I can already have a feeling.
spent time in jail after being unfairly arrested, and my home was bombed.
What?
Yep, that's
Yes,
true.
thankfully no one was harmed. Through it all, though, our protests remained peaceful. I believe with all my heart in nonviolence. Two wrongs never make a right, and you can never defeat hate with hate.
I guess it's good you didn't punch those bullies.
No kidding, but I did yell at them.
Sometimes the situation requires us to passionately raise our voices. You should hear some of my speeches.
We have. They're great.
If your conscience tells you to apologize for yelling, then listen to it. But perhaps those bullies required some amplified volume. As long as you didn't threaten or insult them, I wouldn't feel too bad.
Thanks, Dr. King.
One great secret about using nonviolence to fight back is that by taking the high road and not sinking to the level of people who are being mean, you can actually make a bigger impact on them than with a violent act like a punch.
I wasn't mean to my friends who laughed and went along with the bullying. I just said I was shocked and disappointed that they could be so cruel. I kind of took the high road. Do you think that's why they won't talk to me?
I do. And since you did the right thing and they didn't, they might be struggling with some disappointment in themselves. Don't worry, Miss Layla. If they're the kind of friends who are worth having, they'll be back after they've reflected on their actions and let go of their pride enough to apologize.
Oh, tell us about the I Have a Dream speech. My teacher played it for us last Martin Luther King Day, and oh man, you gave me chills, Dr. King.
So, after the successful Montgomery bus boycott, I got to be pretty well known, and for years I traveled through the South and led movements against racial injustices. In response, I was wrongfully put in prison many times and even stabbed once.
My goodness.
To be fair, the stabbing was it wasn't based on race. She was actually mentally insane. I know about the stabbing. Let me see if I can find it. The stabbing. There's the Buzz Boycott, the Gandhi Society. There it is, the Survive Knife Attack. Izola Curry, yeah. So she was a woman who attempted to assassinate Martin Luther King Jr. She stabbed King with a letter opening while he was at a Harlem book signing. She was diagnosed a paranoid schizophrenic. She had an IQ of 70 and was in a severe state of insanity. And she was found incapable of understanding the charge against her, so she was committed to a state hospital for criminally insane. And so, yeah, she died. So, yeah, I remember King said something about, he actually wrote about something. The razor tip of the instrument had been touching my aorta, and my whole chest had to be opened to extract it. If I had so much as sneezed during all those weddings, my aorta would have been punctured and you would have drowned in your own blood. So, he almost died that day, but he did recognize that, but he actually recognized that she was indeed sick and said this: I felt no ill will towards Mrs. Izola Curry, and know that thoughtful people will do all in their power to see that she gets the help she apparently needs if she is to become a free and constructive member of society. He issued a similar statement on his return home, agreeing stating that he hoped she would get help and that society would improve so that a disorganized personality need not become a menace to any man. After hearing King's testimony, the grand jury indicted her for attempted murder So she was indicted for attempted murder, but she was found not guilty by insanity. So, yeah. But yeah, that did happen. She was stabbed at one point, but it wasn't because of anything race. She was just crazy.
But my belief in nonviolence never changed, and this led to some positive outcomes.
I feel like they should have brought that up if they're gonna bring up his being stabbed by Mrs. Curry. The fact that it wasn't race related at all. It was the fact that she was just genuinely nuts. That's all I gotta say.
All our different protests in all the different places became known as the Civil Rights Movement, and along the way, I became its most famous leader. On August 28th, 1963, others and I
they got the date
march
right.
on Washington for jobs and freedom, and more than 250,000 people of all races came to hear me give The I Have a Dream speech.
I wonder why our time machine didn't take us there to hear your big speech. Some of those lines are famous. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation
Where they will not be judged by the color of their skin.
But by the content of their character. I'm glad those words are remembered. Perhaps in many ways, that famous moment was just the beginning.
So, fun fact about the I Have a Dream speech, a lot of that was improvised on the spot. He had a handwritten speech for what he wanted to say, but as the speech was carrying on, he began to get a little angry, and a lot of the speech became improvised on the spot, motivated by his own desire for a better country, where racism wasn't as prevalent. So, that's kind of what made it such a brilliant speech, the fact that it was indeed improvised. He just kind of came up with it on the spot, and it really was brilliant. It really is one of the greatest speeches ever given in America.
A lot has happened in the 5 years since that day, and I've learned much more about the need to continue taking action to right wrongs.
Did the I Have a Dream speech not have as much impact as you hoped?
Oh, it was a huge success. That speech caught the eye of not just the country, but the world. Other civil rights leaders and I were invited to visit the White House and speak with President John F. Kennedy. We set the stage for laws to be passed called the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 65, which banned legal segregation, outlawed discrimination based on race, and made voting possible for every legal citizen.
For those who don't understand that last part, the South had something called a poll tax. This was a way of keeping poor blacks away from the polls, because generally in the South, black people were poorer than the whites, and so to have a poll tax on top of their right to vote was a loophole to where, you know, blacks had to pay a fee in order to vote in any election, and many of them were too poor to do that, so even though they had the right to vote, the South kept that under check by forcing poor people to pay for their right to vote. But that last part there in the Voting Rights Act of 65 basically barred any form of poll tax whatsoever. No one can force you to pay for the right to vote. Voting is free, fair, legal, everything, and it was a good thing.
Since you got those laws passed, why do you still need to be out here giving speeches?
Because in the years since, I've learned that there is much work that still needs to be done. There is far more injustice in the world than I once even realized, and I can provide a voice for the voiceless.
Dr. King, do you really think you need to fight all those fights?
Thanks to my fame and notoriety, when I speak, many people hear my voice. And I feel I would be a hypocrite if I only acted to fix the problems in my own backyard. I do plan on slowing down to spend some time with my family, but there's still a lot of work for me to do.
Thanks to talking to
He also spoke, that is true, he did have plans, before he was assassinated, he did announce plans to protest U.S. involvement in Vietnam. He did want to fight more against racism and stuff. He fought against other issues, such as poverty as well. He believed that crime was often a racial institution thing. He believed that there was systemic racism in the U.S. Government, which is true. He wanted to fight against poverty because he thought that was what's leading to a lot of crime and stuff. He fought against U.S. involvement in Vietnam. Like, he had a lot of things he planned to stand up for, but as we all know, sadly, he was assassinated on April 4th, 1968.
To you, I'm really glad I did what was right and stood up for Haley. Telling bullies to knock it off and my friends to be nice isn't a big deal like what you do, Dr. King, but I know I'd feel so terrible if I stayed quiet.
I'm glad to hear that, Miss Layla, but know that whether an injustice affects just a handful of people or millions, this world needs brave people like yourself to act peacefully and stand up against them.
Thank you, sir.
Feel better?
Lots.
On tough days, remember, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. And I see you kids shining. Now get on home.
Okay, bye, Dr. King.
Thanks for being an inspiration to me and to the whole country.
Oh, by the way, don't go outside of your hotel room tomorrow. Wait, what? I'm just kidding.
Hey.
Things better at school?
So good. I got called into the principal's office and thought I was in trouble, but Haley Johnson was in there too. We're gonna lead a fundraiser that will add space to the areas of the school where it's a tough fit for Haley's wheelchair. And all my friends said they were sorry to Haley and asked her if they can help with a fundraiser. We start this weekend.
All right. Can I help?
Of course.
Dr. King would be proud of you.
I think so too. I miss him.
So does our country.
Okay, so that was easily the least offensive video. That was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was actually alright. It wasn't that bad. Like, it actually stuck to the facts. There was no, like, political preaching of any kind. Like, they didn't lie about anything involving Martin Luther King Jr. They omitted some stuff, like the stabbing and stuff. Like, I feel like they could have... If you're going to bring up him being stabbed, you need to bring up Mrs. Curry and explain that part, because that wasn't race motivated at all. She was just crazy. Like, you need to bring up stuff like that. You need to go more in depth if you're going to bring up stuff like that. But so far, that was, like, the least offensive video. It was actually okay. It wasn't that bad. Alright, let's see what other... Let's see which one... I saw this one down here. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. Let's do Frederick Douglass. Alright, so yeah. Let's do Frederick Douglass. Douglass! Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Frederick Douglass was an abolitionist, orator, writer, all that stuff. All right. And we're back to these horrifying, ugly images.
Despite some violence and destruction by some of our angrier activists, we're seeing mostly peaceful protests.
Protesters are demanding that the police be abolished.
Oh, here we go. Here's what I was looking for. Oh, goodness gracious. Here we go.
Well, Clint, these local activists want to abolish the police. They're claiming systematic oppression and want the U.S. system torn down.
What is going on? Things are so weird right now.
Oh, here we go.
I know. Mrs. Calder gave us an assignment today about being activists for justice.
Isn't Mrs. Calder your math teacher?
Yeah. We learn math, but we spend a lot of time learning about the stuff they talk about in the news.
That's weird. Isn't math class supposed to be for math?
Is my stream okay? My stream lagged a bit on my end. Are you guys okay? Yeah, I was about to say something. I noticed it too. My stream was off. Are we okay? We're back? Okay. So we're all good? Everything's okay? I noticed it was glitching myself. I was just checking. Everything's good. We're back? We're okay? Had to reload. Yeah, I don't know what happened either. That was very weird. But we're okay. We're back. We're alright. Is it on your end? No, it just... My internet didn't just stop or anything. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I guess maybe it's just YouTube being YouTube. I don't know. But we seem to be okay now, so let's get back into it. Here, I'm going to rewind it by a few seconds.
What does abolish even mean?
That's enough. Let's get to the bottom of this.
The app?
You got it. Abolitionist? Let's check this out.
Whoa, what was that? Whee! When did they add that? Oh my god, he looks like... Frederick looks like a demon. He's ready to eat the kids. He's like, you're my first meal I've had in like 10 weeks. Oh my god, looks so bad.
Hi, are you an abolitionist?
I am. My name is Frederick Douglass. Welcome to 1852.
Thanks. I recognize you from a picture in my U.S. history textbook. You have really cool hair. I'm Layla. That's my brother Leo.
We're trying to learn about activism and abolishing things. Can you help us?
Well, not to brag, but I'm the perfect guy for you to talk to. I'm the most famous activist in America, and I'm currently working on getting something abolished.
Abolish means to end, right? What are you wanting to get rid of?
I want slavery to end. At this time that you have come to visit, for half of the United States, it is okay for some people to own other people, make them work for many hours for no pay, and force them to do anything, anytime.
That's so unfair and horrible.
You're right. The sad
It's so
fact
unfair.
is slavery has existed everywhere in the world for thousands of years. But it's especially disappointing here because America was founded on the idea of freedom. Yet so many black people are not free.
Are you a slave, Mr. Douglass?
I was, but not anymore. I was born a slave, and I was taken from my family at the age of 6.
That's just so terrible.
Let's double check that. I think that's true. I don't know a lot about Douglass. I don't know a lot about Douglass's early life, honestly. Let's see. Douglass's mother, enslaved, was of African descent. He wrote earliest times of his mother. The opinion is also whispered. Separation from his mother. He did grow up on a plantation. Okay. So yeah, he did grow up on the White House plantation. He was a slave. Okay. Around 12 years old, he began learning about the alphabet. Let's see. I'm just looking here. Let's see. He managed to escape slavery. Oh, I remember the story. Yeah. So he met in love with a woman. He fell in love with a woman named Anna Murray, who helped him escape. And then later, I think he got married to her like just a few days after he got freedom, which is pretty cool.
How did you deal with that?
It was very hard.
I'm sorry, he just looks so fucking evil. Frederick looks so bad. He's just like, I really don't like what they did with him. He's like, he looks like a pizza slice. His face looks like a pizza slice.
And I was often sad. But I taught myself to read and write, and like I always say, knowledge is the pathway from slavery to freedom. As a boy, I was regularly beaten. But when I was 21, I had had enough and escaped to the north, where slavery is against the law, and have never looked back. Today, I am a free American, fighting for all to be free.
Yeah, but you're not a civilian.
How can there be slavery in America when the founding fathers said that all men are created equal?
Yeah, and I've heard that some of those founding fathers owned slaves. What about that?
Children, our founding fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation. They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
That is true. The southern states, you have to understand, there was this neat cultural divide between the northern states and the southern states, where the southern states, because of the warmer climate, they had large plantations and stuff. So economically, they were reliant on slaves. That is an important thing to remember. While in the north, it was colder, so they were able to industrialize faster. So slavery wasn't really necessary as often. That's why there was that strong abolitionist movement in the north, while in the south, slavery was everywhere and was heavily needed and necessary.
Are you okay with that?
Well, when I say necessary, I mean for their economy. I don't mean like necessary as in, oh yeah, we needed it. That's not what I meant.
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the founding fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. If they immediately outlawed slavery after winning independence, the southern colonies would have formed their own slave-owning country. Our founders created a system they thought would have slavery end gradually.
Why is he moving around like this? He's like, the four founding fathers, they made something. They made something really, really special. Can you not keep him still for 2 seconds? He's just moving around like he's got like ADHD or something. Look at him.
Our founders created a system they thought would have slavery end gradually.
Why is he moving so much? Why? John Brown's raid or the raid on Harper Ferry is the beginning of the Civil War. That is true. That is true. I don't know if he's going to bring up the John Brown raid or not. But that is true. There are a lot of people who bring up John Brown, Bleeding Kansas, all that stuff. For those who don't know who John Brown is, he was a very radical abolitionist and, to some, a full-blown terrorist who did commit a lot of horrible crimes in the fight against slavery and stuff. Many people thought he was very radical. In fact, most people on both sides all agreed he was very crazy. Like, even most abolitionists were like, no, we don't side with John Brown. He's nuts. He's crazy. He was like a full-blown terrorist. He committed terrorist acts. His raid on Harper Ferry was one of the major stepping stones for the Civil War. It was one of them, because many people in the South were afraid that if that's what abolitionists are capable of, then nowhere in the South is safe. You know, that was just one of the steps. Obviously, Lincoln becoming president was the stone that broke the camel's back, so to speak, or the straw that broke the camel's back. Either way, yeah, John Brown's raid on Harper Ferry was a major factor, I believe, too.
Julie.
Well, we're here in 1852, and America's been around for about 75 years. You're still trying to get slavery abolished. It doesn't sound like the system the founding fathers set up is working.
On the contrary.
Let's also ignore the fact that the founding fathers, a lot of them, like George Washington, John Adams and stuff, they all had slaves too. So They were just playing hypocritical in that shit.
All the northern states outlawed slavery by 1804, and buying slaves from Africa was outlawed for the whole country 4 years later.
What's taking the southern states so long to do what's right?
Great streams are not easily turned from channels worn deep in the core.
I can't take this animation seriously. I can't, like, these straw things don't take things so seriously. I've fallen, and I can't get up. It's so bad.
Course of ages.
Huh?
What I mean is,
Let's imitate you. Oh, shit. Let's watch the lip sync, okay?
sometimes things are more complicated than they might seem, and complicated problems take time to solve.
Just say it was racism. I mean, they economically relied on slaves, but racism was a major factor. They genuinely believed that white people were better than blacks. They believed slavery was the natural order of things. That's what they sternly believed in the South. It wasn't just an economic issue. It was the fact that they genuinely believed that's the way things are. And going against that goes against so many things. Goes against God, goes against society, the way things are, change. It's like they had a lot of reasons for trying to justify fighting for slavery.
I have a complicated math problem. If I rush to solve it, I make mistakes.
Leo, ending slavery is such a bigger deal than your math problems.
I was just about to say, like, why are you fucking comparing a math problem to slavery? But alright.
It certainly is, Layla.
If Alfred owned 13 slaves and he sold half of them, how many slaves would he have? What? No, I'm just kidding. No.
Independence and democracy.
That's so fucked.
It's probably America's biggest deal.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to what he said.
Such a bigger deal than your math problems.
It certainly is, Layla. Along with independence and democracy, it's probably America's biggest deal. There was no real movement anywhere in the world to abolish slavery before the American founding. Slavery was part of life all over the world. It was America that began the conversation to end it. But Leo is correct that big problems need to be approached very carefully.
I mean, we need to bring up the fact that European nations were abolishing slavery. Mexico abolished slavery way before America was. Way before America did, just so you know.
Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
No.
Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me, and he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
So basically there's your modern equivalent to Black Lives Matter right there, with the whole burning shit down and all that crap. Oh my god, those flags though. What the fuck are those flags?
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah,
There we
we've
go.
got that type in our time.
So,
here
you're
we
trying
go.
to work for change inside of the American system.
Precisely, Layla. Our system is wonderful, and the Constitution is a glorious liberty document. We just need to convince enough Americans to be true to it.
And people like Garrison don't just want slavery abolished.
Oh god, now Layla's got the weird animation. She's like moving all over. They're like in a rocky fucking boat, you know? They're like in a boat that's just rocking back and forth.
The
Oh.
whole American system?
You are correct. His approach is called radical. That means a complete fundamental change of everything.
That seems silly. There are so many amazing things about America.
Well, your way is definitely better.
Oh yeah, there it is, kids. Remember, kids, if somebody is really angry and outraged and shit, then they're radicals. They don't like any of that stuff. My god, it's so bad. It's like... It's like, okay, I see... Oh my god, it's so dumb. Like, it's so clearly just, like, brainwashing kids. Like, just, like, if people, like... How do I fucking say this without being, like, offensive? Because, like, what they're saying is clearly wrong. Obviously, like, riots and violence and stuff like that, the vandalism stuff, obviously that's wrong, but... Like, they don't want to, like... There's just no nuance to this. They're not bringing up any of the actual reasons why people would be violent like that. You know, they just want to denounce the violence right away. and say that's automatically a problem without actually addressing why people are angry. That's like the problem. Obviously, the violence itself is wrong, the riots, the violence, all that stuff, but they never want to actually start the conversation as to why that violence is happening in the first place. They just want to denounce it and call everyone radicals and criminals and stuff right off the bat without ever once stopping to ask the question, why are they mad? Why are they doing this? It's just like with John Brown. Back then, like nobody wanted to know why John Brown was angry until, well, they knew he was abolitionist. They knew about that, but they didn't care. They just cared that he was scary and committing terrorist acts. Which, yeah, I get it, but like there's the thing.
It's the right way to get change.
I think so. But how are you so sure?
Spoiler alert, in our time, you're considered an American hero, and that other guy isn't really known.
And double spoiler alert. Also in our time, all Americans are equally protected under the law and have equal voting rights regardless of race.
Does America have the same constitution in your time as the one here in 1852?
No.
We sure do.
No, it's evolved and changed so drastically. We banned alcohol at one point. That's a part of the Constitution officially. We banned alcohol. Obviously, we made voting rights a good thing. Women can now vote, all that good stuff. Whoops, what did I do that for?
Same one, but with some changes called a...
What was that? What was that low-res fucking fist bump? Did y'all see that? It's so blurry! It's so fucking blurry. Like, you can tell they didn't actually animate... They didn't, like, animate this separately. They animated it in that last frame, in this big frame here. Well, not this one.
In your time as the one here in 1852?
Yeah, they clearly animated that here in this particular frame, and then just zoomed in on it. That's why it's so blurry looking.
Sure do. Same.
Like, they clearly just blurred that. Like, they clearly just zoomed on it. They zoomed in on it, as opposed to just animating that separately in its own frame. Wow.
One, but with some changes called amendments.
I knew the U.S. Constitution would survive and allow for positive change.
We even had a black president.
2 terms.
So, Mr.
And most people probably hate him. And I bet PragerU fucking hates him. Oh my god.
Douglas, do you think we should be activists, just not radical ones?
Layla, your America where people are free and everyone is equal under the law sounds pretty great. But no place is perfect. So it's good to listen to activists who want to improve things. But they have to be willing to work inside our system.
That's right, everybody. Stay in conform with society. Don't branch out too far. Don't do anything like that. Just, you know, you gotta do things the right way, you know?
And they have to understand that change usually requires patience and compromise.
Compromise.
Then you might want to join their cause.
Compromise,
but
that's
if
the
they're
thing.
radicals like Garrison, you and your brother will be best served to stay away.
I think I'm just gonna worry about surviving middle school for now.
That sounds wonderful. And you, Leo?
I'm just gonna worry about being a kid. If you're interested in time traveling again...
Oh boy, that one was pretty bad. The whole message of just like, well, you gotta just make compromises, you know? Work within the lines and know your place. It's just like, it's not like I don't get it. Obviously things like the violence and the riots that Black Lives Matter do produce sometimes, they're bad. They are bad. But again, the problem is they never stop to ask why they're mad. It always just devolves into, oh, that's not how you need to fix things. You got to do it the right way without ever offering an actual solution, you know? That's often the problem, you know? Was his head shrinking and growing? Yeah, I think it was, yeah. Oh, my neck's killing me. Let's see, what should we watch now? I kind of want to stick with American ones, because American ones are the interesting ones to learn about. Ooh, Lincoln. Let's do the Lincoln one now. Her backward-ass hand.
All right, Maria. Sounds like a plan. Uh-oh, I gotta go.
Her phone's not even on, like, a call screen. It's just the normal fucking home screen.
Leo looks like his whole world's come crashing down on him. Call you later. Bye. What's going on, Leo?
The worst thing that could have possibly happened has happened.
What? You're scaring me.
My chess club got caught cheating at this weekend's tournament.
Phew. Okay. Now that I know it's not anything serious.
Not anything serious. This could be the end of the chess club as we know it.
All right, take a deep breath and take me through what happened from the beginning.
Okay. Remember I was telling you about the tournament this weekend and how some members were determined to take home the gold this year, no matter what?
Uh-huh.
Well, the no matter what they were talking about was cheating. They kept talking about their plans, and my friends and I wanted no part of it, so we chose not to go to the tournament. Winning because you cheated is not right.
I 100% agree.
We found out today that they got in big trouble and have been suspended from competing for the rest of the season. And to top it all off, now these cheaters want to come back and rejoin the rest of us. Even if they are sorry, they must be out of their minds.
So the cheaters are obviously the allegory for the Confederacy, wanting to come back and stuff. Okay.
Am I just supposed to pretend like nothing happened? They were willing to put our entire team on the line.
You have every reason to be upset, but I'm sure that together you're a stronger team, right?
I guess. They are some of our better players, which makes all of this an even bigger bummer. We probably could have just won the right way. I don't know what to do. I just want to cut them off entirely.
Before you make any big decisions, let's see if we can use
Damn,
the
it's
history
so
app to
bad
chat
in
with someone
this.
who knows what you're going through.
This is a crucial time in our nation's history. I must think of just the right thing to include in my second inaugural address before entering another term as president. We have been in this bitter civil war for almost 4 years now. I want the American citizens to know that now is the time for our divided country to heal. My heavens! What do we have here?
Oh my goodness. President Abraham Lincoln? Is this even real life?
I was about to ask myself the same thing.
Oh my god, the stress of leading the Civil War and stuff is fucking killing me. The stress has finally got to me.
Children magically appearing in my office is something you don't see every day, but welcome.
It's truly an honor, Mr. President. My name is Layla, and this is my little brother Leo. We come from the future.
It is an honor, President Lincoln. You are one of our most beloved and respected presidents. You're on the penny, on the $5 bill, on Mount Rushmore, and you have your own monument. You've had a huge impact on our country.
Oh, that's a relief to hear. These past couple of years have been a stressful time for me and for the country.
So for those that don't know, Lincoln actually was... The stress that Lincoln went through during the war was very famous because, like, he aged, like, a good 20 years physically from the war. Let me see if I can find any pictures that show that. Like, this is... So this is what he looked like around the end of the war here. Or, well, this was taken in 83. Or 1863, sorry. Just 11 days before the Gettysburg Address. But you can see, like, how wrinkled his face has gotten. I'm sure there's, like, an older picture here. Here's a picture of him in his 30s. This was in 1846. This was when he was a member of the House of Representatives. This is him in 57. And here he is in 58. Still looks kind of old, if you ask me, actually. There he is in 1860. But yeah, that's a good... Here's a picture of his actual inauguration. His first one. That's actually pretty good. But yeah, here's a picture of him at the beginning of his term in 1861. He's got his famous beard and stuff. And then you go all the way down to right around here. That's a painting, isn't it? Actually, fuck it. Let me just do this. Let's just look at pictures of him. What am I doing? But yeah, you can see the pictures here. Hang on. Open image tab. Okay, that's... Well, fuck off then. Jesus. I'm trying to find this, make this work. But there. Yeah, let's zoom in a bit. Can I zoom in, please? There we go. But yeah, anyway, there we have it. There's the images of his... This was him in before the war, and there he is after the war. You can see the stress just absolutely ate away at his body. He absolutely... It really is one of the worst. Is my picture in the way of Lincoln's older face? No, it's okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't, like, blocking this face. But yeah, as you can see, the stress of the war really got to him. He aged physically like crazy. He looks like he's maybe 70 years old in this picture when he was much younger. He was much younger than that. I believe he was in his 50s when that happened. I can't remember how old he was. Yeah, he was like in his 50s. He was 56 when he died. So yeah, he looked like he was 70 though, which is nuts.
Would never want to be known as the president who allowed the United States to fall apart.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
My next speech must set the right tone. If only I could figure out how to wrap it up.
What's it about?
Well, Miss Layla, I have been elected to serve a second term as president, and I will be giving a speech to the American people to present my vision for the nation.
I can see why that would be stressing you out. That's kind of a big deal.
Especially in the middle of the Civil War.
You can say that again, but thankfully the end of the war is finally in sight.
I'm so happy to hear that. How did things get so bad in the first place?
Years before I became president, there were tensions brewing that were already dividing our country, with the biggest disagreement being over the institution of slavery. The northern states were against expanding slavery, while the southern states wanted to continue practicing it. People in the north mainly earned their money through manufacturing and industry, while people in the South earn their money through farming. The South believed that the sudden end of slavery would really hurt their economy, since they relied on slave labor for the growing of their main crops, cotton and tobacco.
Ugh, but still, I will never understand how anyone could be for slavery. It's so wrong.
Incredibly wrong.
So that's the thing about, that is true. That was one of the factors. But again, there was the fact that there was hardcore racism. They genuinely believed that slavery was the way things should be, even by God's standards and stuff. So there's also that.
And as the country continued to acquire more and more land, the main issue that arose was whether or not the new land would be slave or free. In 1854, Congress passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act, a law that would allow individual states to decide for themselves whether to allow slavery. This
went against the Missouri Compromise, which, for those who don't know, Missouri here, which, fun fact, that's the state Audrey lives in. I'm just kidding. This was the Missouri Compromise that basically allowed Missouri to become a slave state, but it also saw the inclusion of the state of Maine, which was a free state. This was to keep the balance of power, because before Missouri, there was 11 free states and 11 slave states, a perfect balance. Then Missouri would come in and become a state that would be a slave state. So that would give the slaver South, the slave side, a advantage in Congress. So to add Maine gives you a 24 state. So now once again you have that balance. And then of course there's the rule that there is this parallel at the bottom of Missouri where no state above that line can become a slave state anymore. Period. That border there is it. Now, but of course that again. This was never destined to last, as, again, the Mexican-American War came in. We got all this land from Mexico, and some of it from the British as well. That's another thing entirely. That's a separate factor entirely. But long story short, eventually decided Kansas and Nebraska, which are these two territories right here, they're allowed to vote. This is before modern state lines were, so this was like Kansas and Nebraska. They were these giant fucking slants of territory here. And this would lead to what's called Bleeding Kansas. Bleeding Kansas was when people from both sides just flocked to that area to swing the vote in their direction, with abolitionists in the north going there to vote to make them free, and slavers in the south going there to vote them as slave states. This led to literally years of violence. It was basically a precursor to the Civil War, where hundreds of people were murdered and killed, and basically like a precursor to modern day gang warfare. You had like people lumping together. They would burn down farms. They would attack each other. Sometimes there would be shootings in the streets. There were all kinds of different factors. This lasted between 1854 and 1861. That was what this was. Eventually, though, Nebraska and Kansas would vote to outlaw slavery. And this would eventually, California would be a free state. And this would give Congress a massive advantage for abolitionists and free states. Where there were now 18 free states, there was now only 15 slave states. So there was a massive advantage. And the southern South, the slave South, I don't know why I can't talk today, they felt like they were being oppressed. Sounds kind of familiar to today's standard, don't you think? But that's what that was.
Who were anti-slavery did not like this.
Of course they didn't.
I wouldn't have either. What happened next?
This gave rise to the nation's leading anti-slavery political party, the Republican Party, who opposed the expansion of slavery in the new territories. And in 1860, the Republicans nominated me as their candidate to run for president.
That's another big deal. Were you excited to be nominated?
I was.
That's the area where John Brown was. Yep, John Brown was from that area. He was known for his brutality of slavers. We talked about this earlier. The grammar is giving me a stroke.
But I can't say that everyone felt the same way. Many people had their doubts about the direction in which I would lead the country.
People doubted you? Abraham Lincoln?
They absolutely did. And to be honest, I didn't blame them. I had some government experience at the state level, but none having to do with the entire country. And the only military experience I had was as a captain of my company during the Black Hawk War in 1832, where I didn't see any fighting, but had a good many bloody struggles with the mosquitoes.
What? Why is this mosquito giving me the fuck me eyes? What is that about? PragerU, you got some explaining to do with this mosquito, man. What the fuck? Okay.
I lost both times when I ran for the Senate, all of that, and I only had about a year and a half of formal schooling.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me you only went to school for a year and a half and eventually became president of the United States? Could you please travel back with us and tell my teachers to stop giving me all this homework?
Oh, young Leo, your education is a precious thing. When I was young, I wished that learning could have been my main focus. I was born in a single-room log cabin in Kentucky, and my family was very poor. I had to work to help support us. We eventually moved to Indiana, where, in the fall of 1818, my beloved mother passed away.
I'm so sorry to hear that, President Lincoln.
Thank you, Layla. Before the next winter, my father remarried my dear stepmother, Sarah, who was very supportive of me learning how to read. Books were not easy to come by, so I would often walk for miles to borrow them.
I love reading, just like you. But if you only went to school for a short time, how did you learn how to read?
Somehow I could read and write. I guess I just figured it out on my own.
Somehow I just figured it out. It's that easy. He would later go on to become a self-taught lawyer, and he would be a really good one.
Wow, that takes a lot of focus.
I don't know if he's gonna bring up him being a lawyer, but he was a good lawyer for a few years.
Is that when you knew you wanted to go into politics?
Not quite. In 1830, my family and I moved once again, this
Illinois.
time to Illinois. After a few years, I became involved in local politics and
lawyer.
was elected to the Illinois State Legislature. And in 1836, I finally decided to become a lawyer.
There
Wow,
it is.
Mr. President, you sure did have a lot on your plate.
You can say that again. Then in 1842, I married my wife, Mary Todd, and we have had 4 wonderful sons.
A politician, a lawyer, a husband, and a father?
Yes, and I took
But is he Christian? I'm just kidding. He was.
each role very seriously, even though I wasn't very liked when I served my term in the United States House of Representatives.
You weren't? Why not?
Well, I was quite vocal about things I didn't like the Mexican-American War. I was frustrated because my views were unpopular. After my term, I returned to practicing law.
That takes a lot of guts to stand up for what you believe in, especially when what you stand for is
I don't know if he was against was he against the Mexican-American War? I actually don't know about that. It says right here, on foreign military policy, he spoke against the Mexican-American War, which he imputed to President J. Polk as military glory, that attractive rainbow that rises and showers of blood. He supported the Wilmot a failed proposal to ban slavery in any U.S. territory won by Mexico. So, okay, so yeah, he did speak out against it. Okay, I didn't know about that.
unpopular.
It can be difficult, but I wasn't going to compromise on what I knew to be right. It is important to always be honest and fair.
It's funny he brings that up because during his presidential campaign, and I'm not doing this to smear his character at all, he was, I believe he was 100% against slavery, but in his early campaign speeches, he did speak about some of the benefits of slavery, and he would even defend slavery to an extent when running for president. This was likely because if you just outright said out loud, I don't like slavery and I want to get rid of it and stuff, you would never be elected to anything. So there are early speeches before he was president where Lincoln was speaking about slavery and how he wasn't going to get rid of it, and how he was in some ways even kind of for it. Even he was also kind of racist. He didn't believe in he didn't think black people were equal to whites. He didn't think that white people should marry black people at all. Now, with that being said, maybe he meant those things. Maybe he was honest and he genuinely didn't believe that black people were equal to whites. Maybe he did believe it, or maybe he was just, it was all politician talk because, you know, politicians love to lie their ass off and stuff to get power. And that might have been what was going on. Maybe Lincoln just said those things to drum up some support for him, because even in the abolitionist movement, there were still people that they simply want to get rid of slavery because of it was an economic issue, not just for the sake of morality and stuff. Some people genuinely thought that slavery would overtake the northern economic status, because it's like, what would you rather do if you lived in would you rather live in a free state where anyone can get a job, including you? Or would you rather live in a slave state where you're white, but no one will hire you because they have free labor with these black people? Do you understand why? That's why a lot of people were against slavery. It wasn't a moral issue. It was because economically they were afraid that it would threaten their own livelihoods. That's what this is. Yeah, obviously, you had people that understood it was a moral evil, but a lot of people in general were just economically worried about it. And Lincoln said some things like that to try and drum up support. So he might have said that in a way. He did say he never stood with slavery, but he did say things about blacks that are unfavorable, if that makes any sense. He did say that. So it's funny that he said, oh, it's important to always be honest when he was a politician. And if you ask me, there's no such thing as an honest politician. Not even close. But that's just something I thought I'd bring up.
That's hard to do, especially when people on your own team are doing everything but being honest and fair.
Yes, that was the very problem I was facing. Here we were, the United States, the Union. We were founded on the principle that all men were created equal, but there were
only men.
People who believed the opposite. I had to take a stand.
What did you do?
I jumped back into politics. I ran for the Senate, and in my nomination speech, I reminded everyone that a house divided against itself cannot stand. I knew our country would be doomed if half the states continued to practice slavery. I wanted to protect the Union at all costs.
Sounds pretty convincing to me.
That is true. He really did. When he became president, he did try his best to temper the fears of the South by stating outright that abolishing slavery was not going to be his main goal when being president. He did tell people in the South, I don't care about I'm not going to take away your slaves. You're free to have them. That's all you. Obviously, he didn't like slavery, and the South didn't believe him, understandably. And even during his presidency, even during the Civil War, his main end game was not to free slavery. It was never to abolish slavery. It was to preserve the Union. That was always his main goal in the end. I just noticed the background here. What is this? I don't know if y'all can see that with my thing in the way. No, you cannot. But, like, hang on. What is going on with this wallpaper? Why is it so inconsistent? Why does it just divide like that? Why over here too? Why? The fuck? Can you guys even see my mouse? You can't see my mouse. Literally, what the fuck is this? That's so bad. But anyway, as I was saying, in the beginning, Lincoln's main goal for the Civil War was to simply preserve the Union, to stop the rebellion, and that's it. Slavery was not the main issue, but as the war went on and it became more of an issue, Lincoln did take that advantage to try and fight back against slavery, and made that the war aim.
Unfortunately, Leo, not enough voters were as convinced as you. Some took my words to heart, but others thought my speech was too extreme.
So you lost?
Yes, in fact.
So I guess you would say Lincoln was a radical? According to what Frederick Douglass said, that would make Lincoln a radical.
It was actually my second loss running for the Senate.
That's rough.
It was disappointing, but it wasn't a total loss. my reputation started to grow, and people knew what I stood for, which helped me earn the Republican nomination. I was then elected as president for the first time in 1860.
I bet you were excited to start turning things around.
I was, but then almost immediately 7 southern states decided to secede from the Union. They left and formed a new nation called the Confederate States of America. Shortly after, 4 more states joined them. They weren't happy that I, the newly elected president, was against slavery.
Just a fun fact, there were more slave states than that. As I said earlier, there were 15 slave states, but only 11 did secede. Missouri, Kentucky, this area here, there was, of course, Maryland, and I believe that's Delaware. I don't know my maps. I think that's Delaware. Google Maps. I'm so stupid, I don't know my own states. I know most of the states, but I don't know my states. Where the fuck? What is that state? I know it's Illinois. It's Missouri. Sorry, it's Missouri. It's Missouri. It's Kentucky. It's West Virginia. I'm just waiting for this. It's Maryland and Delaware. Okay. Yeah, Maryland and Delaware. That's what it is. So, Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, and Delaware, they were slave states, but they remained with the Union. This is before West Virginia was even a thing, fun fact. Virginia was this one big state. I just realized my webcam is covering that. But this area here, West Virginia was one big state. And West Virginia would be formed in, I believe, 1863, I think. Either 1862 or 63. I can't remember at the top of my head, but I think it was 63. That's where West Virginia would be formed.
Were they allowed
as a free
to
state?
do that?
They most certainly were not.
This doesn't sound good.
It wasn't. Their leaving would set a bad example for the future. The last thing we needed was other states thinking they could break away, form their own countries, and run things their own way.
That's kind of like what I'm going through with my chess club. Some of the members of my team decided to go and do things their own way, like cheat in our latest tournament.
Yeah, because cheating on your chess game is equal to wanting to keep slavery. This fucking show.
Now they want to come back to the club, even though they could have ruined our entire team.
Yes, I do see the similarities, but just wait, it gets even worse. In April of 1861, the Confederates fired on our Union military fort, Fort Sumter. My heart sank when I learned of this. States attacking states? Americans turning against Americans.
Exactly. Everyone is supposed to be on the same team.
They are indeed, young Leo. I then issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that on January 1st, 1863...
Yeah, that's a hell of a jump, don't you think? I was like, wait, what? Fort Sumter got attacked, so I immediately did the Emancipation No, it took you 2 years. And even then you have to understand, this is where things get kind of complicated. So, after Fort Sumter, obviously, we declared war on the South. The Civil War began with Fort Sumter. But as I said, you have to understand, at the beginning of the war, the Confederacy surprisingly did kind of well militarily. This was because the Union had pretty piss-poor generals. Obviously Ulysses Grant was a good one, but we mostly had pretty piss-poor generals for the most part. But of course the Confederacy also got lucky in some massive breaks as well. This, of course, led to the possibility that Europe was going to get involved. Mainly Britain, France, and Spain. The 3 countries were looking like they might intervene on the side of the Confederacy because the war was affecting their trade. So, because, that's where they got all their cotton and stuff. And the Union enforced a blockade around the South called the Anaconda. It was called the Anaconda Plan, where it wraps around the South. And that blocked off all cotton trade with Europe. So Europe was like, what the fuck? This is hurting our trade. We have to do something. So it began to look like they were going to intervene on the Confederate side. And if Europe got involved in the war, it was over. The Confederacy was going to become a thing. Which is funny because Europe had just abolished slavery not too long ago. So they were actually going to help the institute of slavery, despite the fact that they themselves made stances against slavery. But this Emancipation Proclamation, this was made as a political move to keep Europe out of the war, because when that stance was made, Europe knew this was a moral battle and they decided not to intervene. That's what the Emancipation Proclamation was. That's important to note that obviously Lincoln believed in it, and he believed important to get rid of slavery. But that's really what it was at the end of the day. It was just a statement saying, this fight's about slavery. That's what this is all about. And if you guys don't like slavery, maybe you stay out of it. And Europe was like, all right, goddamn. But yeah, the Emancipation Proclamation basically freed all states in the southern states.
All slaves in the Confederacy would be freed. I wanted to make it very clear that not only did I want the Civil War to be fought to save the Union, but that the fight was to finally put an end to slavery. I'm also pushing for an amendment to be added to the Constitution that outlaws slavery for good.
Unless for punishment of a crime. That we gotta keep slavery somehow. And also make it to where the system is systemically racist, to where mostly black people are serving that crime, but okay.
Well, sir, I've got some good news. The 13th Amendment will abolish slavery.
Thank God Almighty. Our brave soldiers did not die in vain. So many American lives lost. It weighs very heavily on me, which is why I felt it necessary to address the American people in 1863 at one of our bloodiest battlefields in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
The Gettysburg Address.
That has a nice ring to it. The Gettysburg Address.
Even though I already made that because we're in 1865 and it was already called the Gettysburg Address at the time, but alright.
You've heard my speech?
Yeah, we both have. It's become one of the most important speeches in all of American history.
I'm happy to hear that my message was well received. That day, I wanted to remind everyone what our founding fathers had intended when they created the United States 77 years ago. A country as exceptional as ours has never existed, but is on the brink of falling apart unless we all come back together as one nation under God.
What does 7 years ago mean?
I was referring to the year 1776. A score is another way of saying 20, so 80 is
87.
equal to 80, plus 7 more, which is 87 years before 1863, which equals 1776.
Yikes, that's a bit complicated, but I guess it does sound better than just saying 87 years ago.
It does roll off the tongue quite nicely now, doesn't it? We have been incredibly lucky as of late, with successful battles being won for the Union, thanks to...
I just realized I forgot to switch back to the video. I'm so sorry. My bad. My bad. I just realized that's... Oh, fucking hell. I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry. Motherfucker, I'm so sorry. That was my bad. I feel like an absolute dumbass. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. Sorry. Here, I'll rewind it a little bit. To right here. I'll rewind it.
Did I want the Civil War to be fought to save the Union, but that the fight was to finally put an end...
Yeah, in my defense, like, you're not missing much. They're just standing there talking. In my defense, you're not talking.
Slavery. I'm also pushing for an amendment to be added to the Constitution that outlaws slavery for good.
Well, sir, I've got some good news. The 13th Amendment will abolish slavery.
Thank God Almighty. Our brave soldiers did not die in vain. So many American lives lost. It weighs very heavily on me, which is why I felt it necessary to address the American people in 1863.
His hands look like gloves.
One of our bloodiest battlefields in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
The Gettysburg Address.
That has a nice ring to it. The Gettysburg Address. You've heard my speech?
Yeah, we both have. It's become one of the most important speeches in all of American history.
I'm happy to hear that my message was well received. That day, I wanted to remind everyone what our founding fathers had intended when they created the United States.
He looks like he's singing an opera.
7 years ago. A country as exceptional as ours has never existed, but is on the brink of falling apart unless we all come back together as one nation under God.
What does 7 years ago mean?
I was referring to the year
I have to skip this. It's just him explaining what 4 score means.
Roll off the tongue quite nicely now, doesn't it? We have been incredibly lucky as of late, with successful battles being won for the Union, thanks to the leadership of General Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh yeah, he's great.
For now, I will continue to...
Of course, don't forget to credit George Gordon Meade. He was the general at Gettysburg, so, you know, give George Gordon Meade some credit. Meade actually did some good stuff too, but all right.
To do my best as president.
I guess there's also Shepard as well. Sherman, General Sherman, not Shepard. Sherman also did some stuff too, but all right.
Which reminds me, I will be addressing the nation in just a few days. Our country is still very divided, like your chess team is, Leo. Whatever we do and say next will need to be carefully and thoughtfully.
They put more effort in animating Lincoln's hair than anything else. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah, President Lincoln, but I'm still so upset. Part of me wants to tell them they're not welcome back.
Trust me, I know how that feels. But at the end of the day, what do you hope to accomplish?
What I really want is for us to go back to being one united team, because together we are stronger.
Yes, I feel the exact same way about our country.
But I also want to let...
Why is the music going so hard? Like, my god, it's so dumb. Like, they're just in a room talking, and the music's like, it's like da 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 da. Like, guys, they're in a room talking. We don't need this. It's not necessary.
Let the cheaters have it. I want to yell at them and make them feel bad for putting our entire team at risk of being disqualified from future tournaments.
I understand all too well. I am very disappointed in the Confederacy, but we need to look at what our ultimate goal is. I want the United States to go back to being one unified nation. Me yelling and scolding the South for the harm they caused might be what I want to do, but it's not going to get me or the nation anywhere.
All right, obviously Lincoln was a very classy guy, but I kind of disagree with how he handled the aftermath of it. Now, obviously, he was assassinated right as the war ended, so we didn't really get to see how he would have handled Reconstruction, but I think he was a little too soft on the Confederacy, I think, in the final months of the war and stuff. I feel like the idea of just forgiving them and just moving on without any form of punishment or of any kind of punishment or what's the word? Reconciliation of any kind. Like, there needed to be some form of punishment, because just kind of shrugging your shoulders and being like, it's all forgiven, no big deal, and then just moving on from it, that led to the attitudes of we did have Reconstruction and stuff, but Reconstruction didn't last very long. It only lasted about 8 years. And then once Reconstruction was done, the South was kind of just left to its own devices, free to just do whatever it wanted. And that anger just kind of was left to boil, and the resentment still festered there. Obviously, it led to things like Jim Crow and all that stuff, segregation and stuff. Like, I feel like Lincoln did need to give some form of punishment to the South, of some kind, because it's like the South didn't really learn its lesson at all. Like, in the following years, it was made very clear that Lincoln was just too soft on the South. At least in my opinion. I feel like if he was harder, maybe we could have gotten rid of some of that, or at least maybe try to prevent stuff like that a little easier. You know what I mean? It's like, because obviously the South just retained the racism, retained all the issues and stuff. Like, not much changed. Slavery was abolished, sure, but they found loopholes around that. They found other ways to persecute and hurt black people and stuff. And that racism is still very prominent to this day. It still very much is. And that's what I have to say about that. It's like, I feel like Lincoln was not hard enough. Like, I admire the classiness. I admire his ambition, his will to forgive others. But I don't think it was the right move. That's my thoughts on that, at least.
Yeah, that'll probably end up pushing them further away, and that's the last thing the country needs.
Well, what should we do, Leo?
You're asking him? Are you sure you want to do that?
Hey, 2 heads are better than 1.
Okay, sir, let's do this. I think your idea of not scolding the Confederacy is the right move. What if we said something to remind everyone how similar we are? I can tell my teammates that we all love chess and that we all love winning.
And I can remind the American people that even though the North and South have different views, we both read the same Bible and pray to the same God.
It always leads back to Christianity, doesn't it? Like, it always leads back to Christianity. Like, like even though this is a free nation where all religions are valid, but it always leads back to Christianity. Like, that's just how it always is for me. That's how I see it.
Right! And I can tell the club that there will be no hard feelings, that we'll put the past behind us and try our best to rebuild our team.
Yes, and I can say something like, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations.
Wow, President Lincoln, that sounds a lot better than Leo's speech.
Gee, thanks a lot, Layla.
Now,
Yeah, fuck you, Leo.
let's not start another battle, this time between brother and sister.
We don't want to start a war that causes the death of hundreds of thousands of men, right?
I don't think my heart could handle that.
Sorry, sir.
Don't worry, you'll get a. Don't worry, it won't compare to the headache you're about to get in a month's
Leo,
time.
I think what you plan to say to the team is very kind. If I'd made their mistake, I'd feel welcome to rejoin the team.
And that's the message we want to send. One of peace and unity.
Thank you, Mr.
We still fly the Confederate flag in the South. So, again, it didn't work. Just saying.
President, you've really helped me. I can't wait to chat with the entire chess club tomorrow at school. I know they'll be relieved.
No, thank you for helping me finally finish my speech. I have great hope that our words will bring about healing.
I'm positive they will. Thank you, President Lincoln. Goodbye.
So I guess the message was, try to forgive those who, like, do slaves and stuff. I don't know. Who did slavery and crap, you know? Alright, that's the Lincoln one. Again, I really don't... The whole message of just, like... It's more of just a personal disagreement on Lincoln's part. I just don't agree with the whole idea of just letting bygones be bygones when the country... When the South... Sorry, when the Confederacy not only fought for slavery and the institution and expansion of it, but also saw the deaths of hundreds of thousands of soldiers as well. To just kind of let bygones be bygones and issue no real punishment is... I'm not a fan of that. You can't do that if you're trying to rebuild the country. Because, like, obviously, because those sentiments and that mindset's still going to be there. And if you don't punish the instigator, then that mindset's just going to remain there, and they're going to find loopholes, and they're going to keep exploiting those loopholes for years. That's how Jim Crow started, segregation. Even modern steps of racism and stuff are still there to this day. You know, we still fly the Confederate flag in the South, for fuck's sake. It's like, yeah. It's like, that's all I gotta say about that. That's just mine. That's just how I feel about it. Alright, it's getting kind of, it's almost 3. I'm gonna watch one more video, then we're gonna call it a day. Which one should we watch? The Booker T. Washington one? Yeah, let's do the Booker T. Washington one. We'll do the Booker T. Washington one next. Booker T. Washington, here it is. Let's see, it was the dominant member of the African American community and the contemporary black elite. All right. All right, this will be the last one we watch for the day.
Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm bored. Dad,
Get up and do your own damn self!
cold. Layla, can you make me a snack?
Are your legs broken?
Rude.
What's rude is you being so needy lately. You need to start being able to take care of yourself a little.
But I'm the youngest in the family. You guys are supposed to take care of me.
Nobody's asking you to get a job. Just learn how to take care of yourself more around the house with little things.
No way. I'm the baby.
You're no baby anymore, Leo. I'm gonna nip this right now. What's a good word for taking care of yourself?
Independence.
That'll work.
Should have kept my mouth shut.
I'm sorry, children. You just missed our last class for the day.
Oh, we weren't trying to make it to class, but my brother here is in need of learning a lesson. is this your classroom?
He needs a good
I'm
whipping.
actually the president.
He needs a good whipping. I thought you could help. That's such a fuck joke. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, it's so bad.
Of this university, not an
Oh
instructor.
shit.
I was just visiting this history class because today's lesson covered one of my favorite topics.
We're from the future, and I love history. What was today's topic?
America's independence from Britain.
Oh, independence. Perfect. I'm Layla, and my brother Leo here really needs a lesson on learning how to do some things for himself and be more independent. Since independence is one of your favorite topics, do you think you can help us?
Well, it's very nice to meet you two. My name is Booker T. Washington, and I'd love to help. Helping people learn to take care of themselves is kind of my specialty, and I've dedicated my life's work to educating young people on the importance of independence and making themselves as valuable as possible.
Hang on, let me fix my webcam real quick. I'm gonna put it in the corner here, so where it's like not covering their faces anymore. That should be better, hopefully. Cover up their stupid fucking logo in the
But
corner.
Mr. Washington, I'm just a kid. I don't think I should have to take care of myself. That's what my mom, dad, and big sister are for.
Young man, you could not be more wrong. If you listen to the story of my life, I think you'll change your thinking.
Okay, I'll listen.
Well, for starters, I was born a slave in Virginia. I never knew anything about my father, and my mother had to work very hard. She couldn't spend all her time taking care of everything.
Hang on, let me look a bit into that. I don't know much about his early years. He was born to slavery, enslaved African mother. He never knew the day, birth month, or year of his birth, although evidence emerged that he was born on April 5th, 1856. He didn't know his father. Said to be a white man who resided on the neighboring plantation, so most likely a man who worked on the plantation. Most likely one of the owners of the plantation who might have raped his mother, sadly. Because that's usually how that goes sometimes. Let's see. After emancipation, they went to West Virginia to join her husband, Washington, who escaped slavery. So, yeah. I actually don't know a whole lot about Booker T. Washington. I actually don't know a whole lot about him, if I'm going to be honest with you. I assume he was like an activist during the... I believe he was an activist during the kind of... Yeah, newly oppressed by the slot in the disfranchisement of the Jim Crow era. The national flag. He's basically a protester for black rights and stuff during Jim Crow. I believe that's what he was, yeah. Washington's legacy has been controversial in the civil rights community after his death in 1915. He came under heavy criticism for accommodationism to white supremacy, despite his claims that his long-term goals was to end the disenfranchisement of African Americans, the vast majority of whom still live in the South. However, a more neutral view has appeared since the late 20th century. More recent defend and celebrate his accomplishments. Okay, so...
Every little thing for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see what you mean.
Okay.
Was being a slave hard?
It was terrible. I rarely got enough to eat, and I worked all the time. Hard work is great when you can benefit from it.
But it's better than being dead, right? Right? It's better than being dead, right? Right, Mr. Washington? Spoiled brat, that's what I always say. I can see why they went to him, like, spoiled brat, just like Leo was. It's better than being dead, Mr. Washington. Get over yourself.
But I couldn't because I was a
Oh my
slave.
gosh.
I remember my mother praying every day that freedom would come. And when I was about 7 years old, those prayers were answered.
The Civil War?
Yes. During the Civil War, thanks to the Emancipation Proclamation, President Abraham Lincoln made slavery illegal in the South like it had been in the North. And as soon as the war was over and the Union Army took control of the area of Virginia where my mother and I lived, we left to meet up with my stepfather in West Virginia.
I hate that our country had slavery. Mr. Washington, sometimes do you wish you could have lived somewhere else? Like a different country?
That's a great question. And I hate slavery too, but it's been a reality everywhere in the world. And even now in 1910, it's still happening in
It wasn't in Europe at the time. Just saying. They abolished it too. Just saying.
other countries. Despite our nation not always living up to our declaration that all men are created equal, I am still so proud and thankful to be an American.
Even though you were a slave?
Exactly. because I was, and not anymore. America was one of the first places on earth to outlaw slavery, and hundreds of thousands of men gave their lives in a war that resulted in my freedom. So yes, I am proud and thankful.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
When you put it that way, it totally
I
makes
just got
sense.
over it.
But don't
I just got over the slavery. Like, who cares? No big deal.
think for a second that as soon as former slaves were made free, that life for them became easy. All black Americans were made citizens when slavery ended, but for most of us, that was just the beginning of our path to freedom.
What do you mean?
Very few slaves had received any education. Not many of us knew how to read, do math, or had learned anything about science or history. Most of us only knew how to do what our tasks as slaves had been.
I see. So you were literally free from slavery, but you weren't really free to do much.
Correct. One of the tragedies of slavery is that it keeps the slave from being able to reach his or her potential. Luckily, I recognized that I needed education, so I taught myself to read, and I read every book I could get my hands on. I worked in coal mines, saved as much money as I could, and when I had enough to enroll in a college, I traveled hundreds of miles, often by walking, to get to a school that had been established for freed black men.
Is that real? All right, just to check that. Let's go to higher education. He went to Tuskegee. He went to the Tuskegee Institute. Let's see. Next year went to Washington universities. He went to Walmart. Under his direction, students literally built their own school, making bricks, constructing classrooms, barns, and buildings. So they made their own school. That's kind of cool. So the Tuskegee University, which is still here today, was handmade by them, which is pretty cool. Let's see, he led Tuskegee for more than 30 years, such to become its leader. He raised his school. I'm just like reading through, trying to see, but all right.
You walked?
I wanted that education badly.
No kidding. Working in a coal mine is no day at the beach either.
You got that right. But don't forget that there is much dignity in jobs like working in a mine or plowing fields to grow crops. Whether one works outside or inside, with their hands, their minds, or both. All work is important and good, as long as the worker is free to benefit from their labor and choose what they do.
So you chose to be a...
But it's better to be dead though, remember? It's better to be dead than be a slave. So like, you're getting... So does that mean death benefits people somehow, PragerU? Is that what I'm hearing? Golly. Alright.
president of a college.
After finishing my schooling, I was recommended to move down here to Alabama to start the Tuskegee Institute, and I've been here for the last 29 years.
It's a nice-looking college.
Thank you. We literally built it ourselves, as in myself and the students.
Really?
Yes. The students who have attended Tuskegee not only learn from academic classes, but they also learn construction and agriculture. Under my guidance, students constructed our first buildings and classrooms and are responsible for growing crops and raising livestock that we can use ourselves or sell for profit. We as a college can take care of ourselves. We're independent, and in achieving this, our students learn academic, farming, and trade skills that make them valuable and independent people who can take care of themselves.
Sounds pretty good, huh, Leo?
Yeah, I guess so.
And here's what's truly wonderful, Leo. When you can take care of yourself and don't require help from others, ironically, it makes people really happy to help you.
What?
Is this a video for small government? Like, no government interference? State rights, that's what this is about? That's the vibe I'm getting from this message.
What do you mean?
Having proven that we can take care of ourselves, my Tuskegee Institute has gained the attention of U.S. presidents and some of the most wealthy men in the world. Now, whenever we need new buildings or want to start new programs, it's easy to get help. I bet if you begin taking care of yourself in little ways here and there, your family will be excited to help you with things that you really need help with.
Layla, is that true?
Yeah, totally. All we want is for you to be able to make yourself little snacks when you're hungry between meals, or grab yourself a hoodie if you're cold, stuff like that.
Okay.
And when you can take care of yourself, another great thing is that it gives you confidence. You feel great.
Right. I can't wait till I'm old enough to get a part-time job. I need to start saving up to get a car so that once I'm old enough to drive, I won't need mom and dad to always give me a ride.
Aha! You'll be able to do more.
She looks like she's 20 though. Like Layla looks like she's like 20 years old. Or at least like 16 or 17. Like, she's old enough to have a license.
More things for yourself. You'll have more independence. Then you can take me to places like the movies.
Not if I'm making your snacks.
Okay.
Sounds like you're getting it, Leo. If you learn basic skills now as a child and then gradually build on them as you get older, you'll have the freedom to do a lot in this world, even if people try to put barriers up.
But Mr. Washington, does that mean that even though your message is good for anybody and lots of people like helping you, there are still barriers for you and your students?
It's true. Here in my time, no matter how hard we work, sadly, there is still often mistreatment and racial discrimination towards us Black Americans.
We're really sorry that you have to deal with segregation and racism.
Your sympathy is nice, Layla, but know that you have nothing to be sorry about. You and Leo have done nothing wrong and have indeed been quite respectful. Future generations are never responsible for the sins of the past.
Okay, I'll
That's...
keep doing my best to treat everyone well and won't feel guilty about historical stuff.
Oh, there it is. There's the message. Just another fucking... Like, oh, it's just... You don't feel bad about slavery. Don't feel bad about slavery. Alright, you didn't do anything wrong. Look, this is the deal. No one is fucking feeling guilty about slavery. This is the dumbest shit I've heard. The fact people are mad. So, the people on the right, they keep saying, like, we shouldn't be upset over slavery and stuff because it happened so long ago. And, like, apparently talking about slavery and saying that white people did slavery and stuff, that's a bad thing to do because that could hurt white kids' feelings and stuff. No one is blaming modern kids for slavery. The problem is that people, especially in Florida, are going out of their fucking way to deny it and pretend it never fucking happened. That's what's happening in Florida right now with shit like this. That's what people are upset about. We're not trying to guilt trip kids for over slavery. Nobody's fucking looking at a 7-year-old kid who's white and saying, thanks for slavery, dick. No, it's, hey, slavery happened and we should acknowledge it. And it's never really gotten much better because, sure, slavery's gone, but systemically, racism has been a part of the Institute forever, and it's still a part of it. It has never changed. It's still in there. All right, sure, we make great strides over time, like fighting against Jim Crow and segregation and shit, but clearly the systemic racism is still fucking there. It's been there since the Civil War, and we need to fucking do something about it. And that's the fucking thing. And that's what this is about. Like, bringing up slavery isn't to guilt trip modern day audiences. It's to say, hey, this fucking happened and we need to make sure it doesn't fucking happen again. And obviously we're teaching it to white kids because black people didn't fucking do it. It was white kids. Or white people, sorry. It was white people. They the ones who did it, alright? And doing all this, like, dancing around the issue, all these excuses like, oh, well, slavery was going on all around the world, like in Africa and stuff. Who fucking cares if it's going on in Africa? It's just as bad over there. Like, you're right. Okay, you want to talk about slavery in Africa that's still going on to this day? Hell yeah, let's fucking talk about it because it's a fucking problem and it's bad. It's bad that it's going on. It's still happening in today's time. That's what we're fucking talking about. No one's saying slavery was bad 150 years ago and now we're just virtue signaling. The problem is that you're pretending it's no big fucking deal. You're just going around using these excuses to not talk about it, or to just say it never, or to just pretend it never fucking happened. Oh, slavery's going in Africa. We don't hear you talking about it. You're right, we're not talking about it, so let's talk about it. Well, kids nowadays, we didn't do it. You're right, but we still need to talk about it. It's not about making kids feel guilty. It's about making sure this shit never happens again. That's what we're fucking talking about. But no, this fucking PragerU shit just said, don't feel bad about slavery. Just, no, it's no big deal. Get over it. Booker T. Washington got over it. Sure, he was a slave, but he got over it. Look at how great Booker T. Washington's life was after slavery. Look at how amazing his life was, how much he accomplished post-slavery. If you ask me, it's a fucking excuse to get mad about slavery. To be lazy and shit. Like, are you fucking serious? Goddamn, really? It's like, what's that? Racism, systemic racism, things like that? Bad things happen to you because of your race? Get over it! That's what I'm hearing from this video. It's like, what's that? You were arrested on a bogus drug charge because you were black? What's that? You were pulled over because you were black and given a bogus drug charge and locked away for a good 2 to 5 years? Even though it was clearly the cops that planted the drugs or some shit or did some awful crap to you. Or obviously you worked with a fucking loaded jury that was clearly racist or whatever. And as a result, you had to spend time on a bogus fucking charge in jail and stuff. Well, get over it! Make something of yourself. It sounds like you're just making excuses for yourself. I mean, sure, you might not be able to get a job because the moment they see a drug charge on your rep, rep sheet, they might not give you a job anymore. So you can't fucking get a job anymore. You can't go out and make something of yourself because now people just immediately associate you with being a druggie all because you were fucking given a bogus bullshit charge because you're black. Just get over it. Make something of yourself. Booker T. Washington fucking did it. Oh my god, this shit sucks. This is bullshit. I'm sorry I went on that fucking rant. It's just, goddamn. Leave her for Rule 34 artist. I think she's like 13 or 14, guys. I wouldn't go that far with her. I'm sorry about that rant. It's fucking bullshit. What a fucking awful message. If bad things happen to you because of your race, just get over it. Because Booker T. Washington managed to do it. Did anything particularly happen to him over time? Did he, like, go through any shit? Any more shit after building the Tuskegee Institute? Excuse me, sorry. If he gave a speech. I don't see anything specific. I don't want to look at it. I'm not going to sit here and look at everything. But I don't know. I think it's... Ugh. Alright. I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything else major happened to his life negatively past that. Like, obviously he had racism happen to him, and that sucks. But... it's like, you know, I feel like at the end of the day, it really was a bad message to say just, because that's the message I'm getting from this. It's just, if bad things happen to you based on racism, you just need to get over it because, I mean, Booker T. Washington managed to make something with his life, which, you know, good for him, but he still fought against that stuff. He still fought against racism. He didn't just get over the problem. He still fought against the problem. He acknowledged the problem. So to just say, get over it and it's up to you to make something of yourself, it's like, I get it, but sometimes the system is clearly against you based on race, religion, sexuality, and if the system is against you from the start, that's a fucking problem, and that needs to be addressed. Alright, if the system's going to be against you and give you grief because you're black, because you're gay or trans, because you're not Christian... that's a fucking problem, and it needs to be addressed. And to tell people to just get over it because that's just the way it is, that's kind of fucked up. That's genuinely really fucked up. All right, let's fucking finish this video.
Good, you shouldn't. You and Leo will probably never experience oppression at the level we blacks do now.
Yeah, because they're white. Because they're fucking white. Oh, god damn it.
But someday, you will have a teacher or coach or boss who treats you unfairly and makes life more difficult than it should be. By training yourself now to be self-reliant, you'll be ready for it when it comes.
So, if we...
But, like, that would be... if that would depend on the mistreatment. Like, obviously there are shitty bosses and stuff at a job. They just make... but that's just because they work you so hard. But if they're, like, actually discriminating against you, like, because you're, like, a woman or you're gay or black or whatever... that's illegal. They can't fucking do that. It's like, that's literally illegal.
We can take care of ourselves by learning skills and working hard and improving who we are.
Fuck
and
off.
It won't be so bad if life gets unfair.
And it can all start with you making yourself some snacks.
It's kind of like being able to do more for yourself not only gives you freedom, but also gives you a shield against people trying to hold you back.
That is exactly right. I
Really?
hope this is the lesson you kids came looking for.
It's
It
not.
was such a
It's
pleasure
fucking
to
not.
meet you.
Thanks for talking to us, Mr. Washington.
What a joke. Fuck off.
I'm gonna make some ants on a log. You want some?
What?
You know, ants on a log.
Who the fuck calls it?
Celery.
Who the fuck calls it ants on a log? Also, did you see that?
You want some?
What?
Did you? The fucking shitty zoom with the piss poor quality. She's so fuzzy now.
You know, ants on a log. Celery, peanut butter, raisins.
I know what it is, but that's 3 ingredients. I thought you'd start being independent by just microwaving something. You want some help?
Nah, I got it. The celery's already cut.
Oh, and now like it got better. Did you see that? Like it's
Being
blurry in
independent
this
by
shot,
just microwaving something. You want some help?
Nah, I got it.
and now it's in HD. What the fuck?
The celery's already cut, but I'll yell if something goes wrong.
Ugh.
Aw, my baby Bubba's growing up.
Hey! Get off me!
If you'd like.
Oh, fuck right off, Booker T. Washington. Oh my god, that was really fucking bad. That was a really bad one at the end there. It was fine up until the last minute where suddenly it goes like, oh yeah, but by the way, if bad things happen to you based on race, sexuality, gender, all that stuff, get the fuck over it, you fucking pathetic piece of shit. It's like, just get over it, man. You gotta be independent. Yo, suck it up, snowflake. That's all it is. God damn, this was so bad. Oh, man. Alright. Those are bad. Those are really fucking bad. My god, those were really fucking shitty. These videos made the Magic Voids look like Wikipedia. I know there's probably gonna be some people saying, like, why are you using Wikipedia? Wikipedia has, like, gotten way better in years. Like, they actually link sources to them now. Like, they don't just mindlessly... It's not just mindless data. Like, they actually have links to actual evidence now. And that's why I think Wikipedia is very reliable, because they don't just let people type whatever they want to on the site. They actually have to have links to actual evidence to back up the words. So I think Wikipedia is very good. But my god, the MLK one was the least insulting. It was the one that was the most accurate. Ranking? Oh, they were all bad except for the MLK one. The Martin Luther King one was the only decent one, but the rest were all shit. Oh god, cancel Leo, please. Was Leo really that annoying? That bad? I think the whole thing was bad. Why stop at one kid when you can get all of them? Kill them all. Kill them all. Ooh, I think easily the worst one though was the Columbus one with the whole being taken as a slave is better than being dead. No, I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem. My god, just... Oh, as someone who takes history so seriously, I think that history needs to not be biased at all. Because obviously things are going to happen in history that I don't agree with or support at all. But that's kind of the thing about history. The fact that it is unbiased. And the fact that history just... Sometimes shitty things happen and there's nothing you can do about it. It's important that you do learn about the bad things because you need to learn how to make sure that stuff doesn't happen a second time. I mean, could you imagine if we just stopped learning about the Holocaust? Then there you go. It would probably happen again in the next 100 or 200 years. That's just how it goes. And that's why it bums me out that, like, Florida has actually greenlit this as official history. Like, this is real history that we support and stuff. Not because it's what kids need to learn, but because it's what the right-wing conservatives there want kids to hear. And that's the scariest thing about it. It's not what they need to learn, it's what the adults want them to hear. And that's the scariest thing about it. History isn't what people should want to hear. It should be what you need to know. And that's just the fucked up thing about it. Like, why can't you just let Brain Pop be the fucking thing kids watch? Because Brain Pop was fucking awesome. I still remember Brain Pop being an awesome thing. In fact, I think Brain Pop is still on YouTube, actually. Let me look that up real quick, actually. It is still on Brain Pop. Wow. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Brain Pop is still on YouTube. It's still a thing. Do they still make videos now, or like... They do still make videos! Well, not as often as they do. The last video was like a month ago, with the previous being 10 months ago. But yeah, they still make Brain Pop videos. Wow. I had no idea. There's a Martin Luther King Jr. video. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. We'll watch one more video. We'll watch a Brain Pop video. See how it's actually fucking done. And let's watch the Martin Luther King one. We'll watch one more video with the Martin Luther King video. Oh wow, we actually got an ad.
Lowe's is
all right.
bringing you the largest in-store selection of
Here, I'm gonna move this back real quick. There we go. The Mysteries of Life with Tim and Moby. Oh god. Here, we don't need the captions. Oh,
Yep,
this is.
that's where he gave his biggest speech.
Oh, this is so nostalgic for me.
Dear Tim and Moby, can you do a Martin Luther King movie?
Oh wow.
Thanks, Amari. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most important leaders of the American civil rights.
It's very quiet. Can you guys hear it? Okay. It's kind of quiet for me on my side. I'm gonna turn the volume up just a touch for me. Like it's just a touch quiet for me. All right.
Movement. That was the effort to extend equal rights to all people, regardless of race.
Right.
Well, in the first half of the 20th century, that was a controversial idea.
Mm-hmm.
In many parts of the country, African Americans were barred from participating in ordinary life.
Yeah.
They couldn't eat at the same lunch tables, go to the same schools, or even use the same bathrooms as white people.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Brain Pop actually showcasing it. They actually show rather than just talk about it. And on top of that, they're actually going into the nitty-gritty about it. See, like back here, they show off the poll tax. They show segregation. They show the bathrooms being segregated. Even water fountains were segregated. You couldn't drink from the same fucking water fountain as white people.
This practice of separating...
We wash for white people only. Laundries were segregated. The bus was segregated, as we remember.
African Americans from white people was called segregation. In the South, segregation was enforced through Jim Crow laws.
There you go.
They made it illegal for African Americans to mix with whites.
Yep.
They policed black behavior, too. African Americans had to live in separate neighborhoods, hold specific jobs, and...
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, Tulsa, Oklahoma is a great example of that.
And talk to whites with the utmost respect. Try to fight it, and you risk jail time, injury, even death.
Yeah. That's right. The blacks could not do anything back in the day. They had to be it's like they were walking on glass 24/7. They really had to be careful when around white people because a white person could literally just lie. If they didn't even like the way a black person looked at you, they could go to the police, make some shit up, and very likely they would not only believe it, but the cops would be ecstatic to arrest a black person. They were just like that.
There were no Jim Crow laws up north, but unspoken rules still kept African Americans apart. In many places, white homeowners would only sell their houses to other white people. These informal codes ensured that African Americans remained second-class citizens. Martin Luther King grew up in the midst of all that inequality.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in 1929 to a middle-class family in Atlanta, Georgia. Both his grandfather and his father were pastors at a local church. King attended religious colleges up north, in Philadelphia and Boston. He noticed black and white people mixing more freely than he'd seen growing up. Though these cities had their share of racial tension, they were a far cry from the way things were down south. Dr. King moved to Montgomery, Alabama with his wife, Coretta, in 1953. He became a pastor and community leader. Around that time, a local woman named Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give her bus seat to a white man.
There we are.
King joined forces with activist Joanne Robinson to organize a massive boycott of the Montgomery bus system. Most black...
I like the fact that here, my webcam's blocking it, sadly again, but here, I'll move it again for this case. I love the fact that the word boycott is up there in the corner. Like, they showcase the word to show just how important that word is to the situation at hand. I really like that they did that and stuff. And I also like, again, that they're not shying away from real history. Like, they're not doing it to guilt trip people or bully anyone. It is simply stating the facts, that this is what happened. This is what history should be.
Citizens of Montgomery refused to ride the buses for over a year. Many were violently attacked just for walking instead of taking a bus.
It's true.
Dr. King's house was bombed, and along with dozens of other protesters, he was thrown in jail.
Yep.
But these injustices drew national attention to the issue. And in 1956, a Supreme Court decision banned segregated buses. After that victory, King helped organize a group of churches dedicated to nonviolent protests for civil rights.
Chaotic. I've never heard of chaotic. Is he like a history thing too?
He was inspired by the life of Mahatma Gandhi.
There we are. Talk about Gandhi. Gandhi. Remember the PragerU video didn't even bring up Gandhi. They just made MLK look like he got all the answers automatically, but no, he studied Gandhi heavily.
Nonviolent leadership helped free India from British rule. Over the next decade, King led protests and marches all over the country. The biggest was the March on Washington for
There it
Jobs
is.
and
Yep.
Freedom in 1963.
They used the full name
Hundreds
for
of
it, too.
Thousands of people gathered in the nation's capital to support civil rights. It was there that Dr. King delivered his momentous I Have a Dream speech.
Can we also talk about the fact that, despite the fact that this is flash animation, it looks so much more appealing than PragerU as well. Like the art style just looks far better, more friendly and welcoming, less creepy with the eyes. Like it's actually like professionally well done. Like it's obviously cheap and made with flash animation, but it looks good for what it's supposed to be. I like that.
One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
And they actually used the audio from the speech. Goddamn. Brain Pop did not fuck around. I love it. Oh, I fucking love Oversimplified. Oversimplified is great. They don't mix words. They tell it like it is. And plus, they're actually really funny.
Yeah, kind of gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? King's gift for public speaking helped inspire millions of people. His words gave them the hope and courage to believe in the future he envisioned. 2 years later, the protests he led throughout Alabama caught the world's attention.
Selma.
People watched in shock as local police turned fire hoses and attack dogs on peaceful protesters. Well, people often feel threatened by change. In fact, making folks uncomfortable was kind of the point of all this protest. In a letter written from an Alabama jail, King said, "Nonviolent direct action seeks to create such a crisis and establish such creative tension that a community that has constantly refused to negotiate is forced to confront the issue."
There you go.
In other words, things change only when conditions are made so stressful, people demand it.
There you go.
Oh yeah, King was arrested lots of times during these marches, but the result was worth it. His work pressured Congress to pass groundbreaking laws, moving society closer to his vision. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 overturned segregation laws around the country.
There we go. It also got rid of the poll tax and a bunch of other things as well.
In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. He went on to fight against poverty and the Vietnam War.
Yep, that's right.
And in 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. His killer, James Earl Ray, was captured months later. King was only 39 years old, but in his short life, he'd changed the face of this country. Without his influence, who knows how long it would have been before equal rights were protected for everyone? Yeah, you're right. We still struggle with racial equality to this day.
We do.
But thanks to Dr. King and other civil rights leaders, we know that great change is possible.
I have a dream today.
Hell yeah. Brain Pop, fucking tell it like it is. That's how it's done. That's how it's fucking done right there. No bullshitting, just straight up facts and real history. Like, don't be afraid to, like, showcase the worst of it, you know? The nasty side of it, you know? Like, white people were shitty. It happens. It doesn't make you shitty. It's important that you acknowledge it. It is important that me as a white person to acknowledge that, yeah, white people were shitty in the past. They've always been shitty for a long time. It doesn't mean I'm shitty. If anything, it's important that I don't be shitty to make things better. Oh, man. Oh, shit. But yeah, that's how it's fucking done. That's how it's done, guys. Watch Brain Pop. Fucking neat. Why watch Virgin PragerU when you got Shad Brain Pop? Am I right? Oh, that was an older video. I remember that. I watched that like in 3rd or 4th grade. That was a very old video, and yet it's aged very well. That's the insane thing about Brain Pop. It's still aged really well. It's still really good to this day. Oh my god, that was really good. Yeah, fuck PragerU. Just watch more Brain Pop. Brain Pop's the real shit. But that's what I'm trying to say about it. It's like PragerU is so clearly biased in the fact that it doesn't want to like portray white people as the bad guys when sometimes they just are. And it's not like they don't have any points. It's the way they're going about it. Like bringing up that slavery exists in other parts of the world. That is true, but it's not brought up as a discussion. It's brought up as an excuse, as a defense against white slavery, as against slavery and stuff, and how white people took part in it. Because it's like, it's less, well, slavery exists in Africa, that's just as bad. It's more of a, well, slavery exists here, so it's okay that it existed here. And it's kind of hypocritical to complain about it here when you're not saying anything about it over there. And I'm like, well, that's a fair point. It's equally as bad over there. And if you don't know about slavery in Africa, then that's the thing. It's like, if you're not aware about it, and then you learn about it, I feel like that's also kind of a gotcha that people will use against you, and you're just plain ignorant about something. Like, if you don't know about the slavery in Africa, and then you do learn about it, and suddenly people go, oh, so you didn't know about it. Well, that goes to show how much you take it seriously. And I'm like, well, fuck off, dude. I fucking know about it now, and I believe you're absolutely right. That's a serious issue. Like, there's nothing wrong with learning about something, you know? I don't think you'll get hate comments if you cancel Leo. Just, all right, guys, cancel Leo. Goddamn. Like, dude, you're going to comment about it like 100 times. Fucking cancel Leo then. Jesus Christ. But anyway. Yeah, Virgin PragerU over Chad Brain Pop. Exactly. But that's the thing about PragerU. It's clearly very, like, right-wing conservative biased and stuff. And I'm not here to tell people what to believe in politically. I'm not here to do that. I believe, but obviously this is a problem because PragerU didn't mention James Earl Ray. No, it did not. It didn't mention James Earl Ray at all. It didn't mention his assassination. Well, it mentioned it. It didn't really bring up his assassination because of the whole time travel concept. It didn't bring up Muhammad Gandhi, the guy who inspired Martin Luther King. It didn't bring up it did bring up the bombing that the KKK did on his house, but it never brought up the riots in Selma, the police brutality that the protesters in Selma and stuff endured. Like, it never showed the dogs. It never showed, what's that one guy's name? I think it was Jack Ruby or something. Like, there was a police chief who became infamous for it. I'm trying to remember what his name was. But I believe it was Chief Jack Ruby. I think that's what it was. Right. What was the worst one? I'm trying to find the one specific one that was very famous. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. Maybe one of y'all can help me with that. I'm trying to find it. Was the... Yeah, the Montgomery riots. That's what it was. The Montgomery riots. Like, these are the famous ones where... This was the famous one that saw, like, a bunch of deaths. Like, there was those famous pictures. A Bloody Sunday. That's what it was. A sheriff became very famous for that. What was his name? Was it Jim Clark? It might have been Jim Clark. I can't remember off the top of my head. I believe it was Jim Clark. He was the guy who did all the stuff. He's the guy who ordered the fire hoses on the blacks protesters in Montgomery. Yeah, he would later lose his job and stuff as well. I believe this was it. Is that the... I don't know if this is him or not. I don't know. I can't fully remember if it's... I know it was Bloody Sunday. Let's see if I'm allowed... If I look up pictures of Bloody Sunday, I wonder if that'll, like... Day Selma. Yeah, these are the images I was talking about. The These were the images that like I'm talking about because this is so blatantly evident. Like we march for Selma and stuff. Yeah, there it is. That's the famous picture right there of a guy getting bit by a dog. So fucked. And yeah, PragerU didn't want to bring any of that up. Not one bit. But it happened. Who remembers the Selma movie? I remember the Selma movie, yeah. There was also the Our Friend Martin movie that came out. Apparently John Travolta was in that movie. I watched that when I was a kid. Yep, I bet Florida would never air that movie. Florida would ban that movie, I bet. Or maybe Selma too. But that's just how it is with Prager. I'd rather invest time into my Wii U than PragerU. There you go. Chad Wii U compared to Virgin PragerU. That's what I'm talking about. But to get back to it, that's what I'm talking about. That's the problem with PragerU videos. It's so clearly biased and just trying really hard to kind of whitewash history and lie about it or oversimplify it to a point where they leave so many important things out. They, at the best, vastly oversimplify history and leave out so many crucial details that are needed to understand who the historical figure was. Like with Martin Luther King, they brought up the stabbing that he endured in 1958, but they never mentioned Curry or the fact that it was not race related at all. It was just some crazy woman that got out of that needed a hospital, that needed to be put into an institute. And even MLK was like, don't put her in jail, don't arrest her. Okay, she's clearly not there. She clearly needs help. Like, he forgave her for the stabbing and moved on with his life, which is so noble and incredible of him to do. But like, they never brought that up. They never brought that part up. They just kind of lumped it in together with his fight for racial equality and stuff when it had nothing to do with it. I mean, getting stabbed is a big deal, don't get me wrong, but when it has nothing to do with the fight and had nothing to do with his race, that's kind of like misleading. That can be very misleading. So even though the MLK video was the best one, there's still that problem of misleading and leaving out vivid, important details that's important to understanding MLK. But then, of course, you have the Columbus video, you have the Booker T. Washington video, you have the Lincoln video. It's like it's just so clearly trying to like justify certain things, and by the end of the day, it's at its best misleading, and at its worst, just plain propaganda. And it's not okay. It's wrong. This is some of the worst history courses I've ever seen, when they have to outright lie to their audiences just to get some kind of feeling. Can you review The Birth of a Nation? The Birth of a Nation, I don't know if I could really review that because it's a 3-hour movie and it's just KKK propaganda. It's also a propaganda piece. I'm not sure what I would say about it outside of that. I think it's free to watch on YouTube, though, Birth of a Nation, as a historical piece. I think it's actually free to watch on YouTube as a historical piece, I think. I could be wrong. But that wouldn't be a bad idea for a video to watch, to react to it, I guess. But yeah, I think it is free to watch on here. Yeah, it's free to watch here on YouTube. It's in full HD and everything. The masterpiece of racist cinema. That's what the video is called. Oh, wow. So there's the original Birth of a Nation film from 1915. It's a very old movie, 1915. And there's another one, I guess it's a remake from 2016, which is supposed to be like a modern remake of the movie. But yeah, it's just a propaganda piece for the KKK, but it's also like a major historical figure as well. It's also like a major historical piece as well. So from a historical perspective, I think it would be a cool idea to watch the movie, maybe watch it on stream as well. Maybe I'll do that next weekend if you guys want. Can you review Our Friend Martin? I mean, I could, but I don't know. Reviewing educational movies is kind of boring. Like, I'm not sure really. I could probably do like a Let's Watch for it for Patreon, but that's about it. I don't think reviewing a educational piece like that, especially when it's just like a 30-minute short, is, well, it's not. It's like an hour long, isn't it? It's like an hour-long movie, like a 44-minute video. I don't know. I don't know if I'd really be worth making a review on. I might watch it for a Let's Watch, but that's really about it. Yeah, I might watch Birth of a Nation and our friend Martin for live streams or for Patreon and stuff, but we'll have to get to that in the future. In the meantime, I'm done. I'm wrapping things up here. I'm done. So, bottom line, Virgin PragerU, Chad, Brain Pop. Stick to Brain Pop. Stick to actual history courses. Watch YouTube videos. Okay, that's the cool thing. That's the one good thing about YouTube and stuff. There are so many reactions to PragerU, including this one, that are getting more views than the PragerU video, so that's good. That are basically doing everything they can to debunk and point out just how blatantly racist and just plain wrong these videos are and how biased they can be. So it's actually kind of nice to see that we are in fact getting plenty of people coming in and saying, no, this stuff's wrong, it's disgusting, it's racist, this is not okay at all. So there you go. So yeah, my opinion, watch Brain Pop, watch Oversimplified. Oversimplified's pretty good. Watch what was that channel called? What was that channel called? I forgot. I had one channel in mind that I really love watching. What was it called? I have to look it up now. Epic History TV. That's what I'm talking about. Epic History TV. They talk about things like they talk about the World War I and World War II, Napoleon. Their real history channel. They do really good stuff. I love them. Watch Simple History. Simple History is pretty good. I love Simple History. Like I said, just look up these cases. You'll find plenty of actually good historical videos on YouTube and stuff. PragerU, not one of them. I might watch more PragerU videos in a future live stream, but I'm done for the day. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed me cringing and getting upset, my ranting. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. As for the Kid Cosme video, I'm almost done. It's got like another 10 minutes left on it. I will finish it as soon as I can, maybe within the next day or two. So get ready for that. And then, of course, after that, we'll do Dragons of the Nine Realms Season 7. That'll probably be my Halloween special, as we all know how horrifying that show is. So, with that being said, thanks for watching, and as always, rock on.